It's a bold change for you.
It's a new year. It's a new look. New feel, a new vibe. We're here.
New year, new me.
What's going on, man?
Dude,
Andrew, someone's in your
not a whole
house.
hell of a
Who's
lot.
that
How are
behind?
you?
So Marcus is opening
saw
up
you-
at the Magic Castle this week.
Yeah.
Oh, great! Congratulations.
Oh, nice.
Oh yes. Thank you.
I saw you guys were out in Vegas this weekend, right?
Oh yeah, that was fun, man. That was a blast.
Dude.
Got to see the hero.
Yeah, the man, right?
And David Copperfield.
Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah, and Copperfield too as well. Hey, but Homer Leeway, I can't forget that. Can't forget Homer. We're doing some maintenance over here. Quick maintenance.
Oh yeah.
All right. I'm gonna grab a couple.
Okay. Hi everybody. Welcome to Monday Things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where's Short Dog? There we go.
He
Hey, what's up?
he was here. I think he's getting a drink. Oh, he's probably turning the AC on. 'Cause I can feel the AC turning on.
Okay.
It's hot in Texas still, it turns out.
Nice.
We just got back like 24 hours ago from Schenectady, New York.
Oh yeah.
Did some back-to-back shows there, and then we got to meet a lot of really great Diamond Club people who came out.
Nice.
And we got up and had a really early morning flight, and then just had a nice day off yesterday.
Boom.
Yeah.
You need those nice days.
Yeah. My
Right
hands-
back at it though.
Yeah.
Back on the grind.
My hands are like a little sore, and I think what it is because on the plane ride, I started to watch a video on my phone, and then I fell asleep, right? And so I was holding my phone the whole time. But then I don't know whether it was just because I didn't want to like put it down or whatever. But then I was like, okay, I'll just go back to sleep, but still holding the phone. And so like I don't know. After some point, it's like when you're holding your phone too much and you get the cramps. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, you have amazing control while you're sleeping though. But hey, at least you're holding on to something else though. That's.
Yeah. Especially on the plane. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh yes. Oh, that AC, it feels so good. Oh, it gets so hot. We've got this tiny little studio,
Okay.
and like 3 full-size computers running all of this
Oh,
stuff
man,
at the same
yeah.
time. So it gets pretty heated in here. But
Heated in a not so violent way, right?
no, yeah, no, in the
There you
more
go.
literal sense.
that more, right? Okay. Yeah.
Marcus!
What up?
Oh my god! Are you in Andrews?
Sure. Yeah.
This is wonderful.
There you go. Hi, how are you, man?
What's up? I'm doing awesome, man.
Dude,
How about you?
are you gonna join us?
So I do have to do some work. I'm about to go eat, but yeah, I just wanted to come on here, hop on, and say hello.
If he's back
Dude,
for
it's so good to see you, man.
There's no space here, but if he's got to get some stuff done. But if he wants to, when we do after things, I figure we'd have him.
Oh my god, I would love to chit chat. Like after things is the kind of stuff that Marcus and I talk about every time that it's just the two of us. So that would be great.
Nice.
Just the two.
Just the two of us. We're gonna do a lot of that, right? A lot of singing.
make it if we try, just the two of us. Ooh,
Cool.
you and I.
Okay, cool.
Dude, it's so good to see your face. How have you been, man?
Man, I've been good. I've been doing good.
Are
life
you
is
in
amazing
town
right now.
working on a project?
Say it again.
Are you in town working on a project or?
I'm here. I'm doing a lecture, but really I'm doing the Magic Castle. Boom!
Is this your
Today's
first time?
day. Yeah, first
Oh,
time ever.
congratulations,
Today's
dude! How much fun!
Yes.
That's got to be amazing.
No, it is. I've always wanted to perform there, and so this is just, like everything I'm setting out to do this year is happening, and so it's
Dude,
it's
I'm
gonna keep going.
so happy to hear that. That's
Gonna keep that ball rolling.
amazing. That
Thank
is
you, brother.
great.
Thank you, brother. So, how are the shows in NY?
Oh my gosh, it was intense. We did
In a good way?
the one in Long Island was a bar mitzvah, so it was just sort of like a 30-minute stand-up show and then a couple 2 or 3 hours of close-up. But the performing arts one really had me worried. We did 2 in one day, but I got to tell you, it's funny how it's like you get the first one out of the way, and then the second one is when you really relax and get
Nice.
back into remembering how to do it. It
get
was
that.
good. It was really, really good.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah.
What are your journeys after this?
I don't. I think
We're
we're
working on
playing a
stuff
lot
in
of
town.
catch up. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're shooting a bunch of stuff here, so we'll see. But by the way, your standing invitation remains standing to come on Scam School anytime you want. If you have
Yeah.
anything to promote, anything you want to teach, you name it, just tell me
Definitely.
and
I'll be
we'll
back
clear
in town on the 13th, and so I'll be there because I have a lecture on the 9th at the club. So
Okay.
after that, we're gonna keep the ball rolling. I'm trying to set up some actual performance shows out there as well. So
Good.
The moment I do that, which is in the process now, then I'll definitely hit you up and see if I can come on there, teach something, share something, and then
Like you
promote
name it,
something.
anytime, anywhere. You're in the very short list of people who get to tell me how things are gonna go. And so, anytime you feel like telling me, you just tell me.
Awesome, I appreciate that.
All right, dude. Love you, buddy. Man, so good to see you again.
Awesome. In fact, I'll see you in a bit.
All right.
Yeah.
Later.
Bye. Hi everybody. Welcome to the Monday. Oh, Justin, you're all Minecrafty.
That happened, huh?
Yeah. I'm gonna call you back. He said, hanging up on him. Just do.
Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, there he is.
Everybody knows that we're getting ready to shoot a thing, and that's why I didn't say anything that I would regret the whole world knowing that I would say. Ha-cha-cha-cha.
Ha-cha-cha, indeed. Oh, Andrew, you're back.
Hello, Andrew.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint you guys. I can get up, let him come back if you want.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Don't sweat it.
I forgot. It's been a minute since we've done weird things in here, but I forgot I had this graphic.
Oh my god. What?
Oh my God.
Was that the birthday slaughter when I killed everyone?
That was, yeah, I think, yes,
Yeah,
that was
you
it.
realized that it was
A birthday
That-
party
it-
for me. It was a
it's
surprise
birthday party,
Yeah.
not a raid.
Alrighty, guys.
What's up? Okay. I thought I had a.
Yeah, Andrew, I think there's a real contrast issue because you didn't look like that a couple seconds ago.
Yeah, is your camera on auto adjust? Can you turn auto adjust off? I love you, Andrew. Oh, ooh, oh, hey.
No, I wasn't being serious. I was being.
Bryce, he was
That does look good,
making
though.
a comment
That does
about
look good, though.
not actually about the video filter.
Real penis.
Did you guys? I haven't seen that new Stranger Things commercial yet. Is it cute?
OMG.
Is it good?
Great.
So,
That'll-
funny thing.
Yeah.
Saying, being a kid from that time era who actually wore a Ghostbusters costume to school, it was like,
Wait, are you talking about the Stranger Things promo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I did that too. Only mine didn't look as cool.
Yeah, I don't care if it's a sophomore slump. Like I'm just all in. Like I'm all in on what they're doing. I would like to subscribe to their newsletter.
Mix Glavon 2. The answer is because schedules got a little bit nutty, so we're dialing back the Friday giveaway videos. There will be one this week, however.
We've talked about it on the Bizarre Briefing. We're doing them about once a month now.
Yeah.
So,
Also, if you want more content, listen to the Bizarre Briefing.
hey,
Yeah. How about that?
yeah, we just did a great
Subscribe over at youtube.com/scamstuff.
or bizarrebriefing.com.
See? Look at that.
Not the Bizarre Briefing. I finally figured it out. It's not the. for a couple of months there, I was like, is it the? No, it's not. Okay. Anything before we light this candle?
Yeah, man. Did you see that we got digged last night?
Who got digged?
We did.
For what?
Modern Rogue, 5-bottle bar.
Can I say that I will take credit for that because I submitted it?
Good enough for me?
Where is it? I can't see it. Or I guess it's not. This would have been a few days ago, huh?
No. It was yesterday, I'm pretty sure. It was like
video. Their video does not always go on the front page.
yeah. But like if you look at my tweeters.
Oh,
You'll see I mentioned it.
That's right. I unfollowed you from Twitter for a minute. Here we go. How to put together the home bar that won't break the bank. That's cute.
Won't break the bank, yeah. Looks like that episode is doing pretty good. We're over the weekend and it's 85,000.
Oh, wait. I wonder if that means...
1% thumbs down.
I got to get on that.
Oh, you were breathing into the microphone. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, sorry. Did I freak you out?
I'm so bad.
All right, we just want to get some room tone, so just
Yeah,
just,
you
guys
got
keep
everyone
going, just
be
so we
real
can
quiet,
some
get a little room tone. Ready?
Clip that. Put that out immediately. We need that clip to put out on the weird things.
Oh, wait, hold on. ASMR.
Cut it short. I could keep going. I just want to be a Tibet throat singer. That was going to be my fallback plan.
We're all good. We're all good.
Do you,
ready?
wow, what is it? Double breathe? Is that how you, are you able to do that?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
The circular breathing?
Yeah, that's it.
I just know if I try to be really annoying, I get superpowers.
I remember when I first started doing clarinet, the teacher was like, had everybody do that on their instruments to see.
Bryce, put this in your mouth.
Shut up. Okay. All right. Where's my thing?
The clarinet guys, jeez. Why does it have to go there with you people?
What do you mean?
What do you mean, you people?
You people. Wow.
I'm looking forward to the Baywatch movie. Can I tell you that?
You clarinet people.
All right. We good, guys?
Are we live on twitch.tv/
Night Attack.
Night Attack. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. I think we're going to try that this week. So we'll take a break after Weird Things, and then we'll be back here for Cord Killers later tonight.
Okay. Let me real quick tweedle twaddle that we're out.
Okay.
Where should we send people to? The Twitch or the Diamond Club?
We're trying twitch.tv/ Night Attack for all of the co-branded stuff that both Justin and I do. Justin's got his solo channel, and then there's the two of us channel, which we allow, Cord Killers on by the grace of Justin.
So what about Diamond Club? So just do Night Attack?
Yeah, twitch.tv/ Night Attack is where we're trying to push a few subscribers.
And we just sent out an email or a Patreon notice, or I did last night, letting everybody know about the new recording time, which means it will be physically impossible for you to get the show on Sunday nights, but we'll try to get that Monday night, Tuesday morning out to everybody. Though I would love it if we could somehow record the show on Monday and then send it back in time to Sunday night.
Yeah.
That would be a weird thing.
But then I'd have to spend Sunday night, waiting to receive it. I don't know.
I'll tell you what. You just keep waiting on Sunday nights.
Okay.
And one of these days, maybe it'll show up.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to know unless you're there?
Who knows? All right. Are we all tweeted?
Ready. I twaddled.
Justin, Andrew?
Yeah, hold on, wait, I'm going to retweet this.
Okay, so that's a no then.
That's a no for now, though.
A no for now just means yes in a minute.
It just no, because I could instead just go yeah.
Circular breathing.
Okay,
You
we
got this. Okay. All right. Good.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's do a show.
Beauty, eh?
3, 2.
Welcome to the Weird Things Podcast. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Justin Robert Young.
Hello, friends.
Brian Brushwood.
I'm back. I'm here. I'm not in Miami. I'm not in New York. It's here in Austin, Texas, like I've always been, because I'm a responsible co-host.
It's good. I noticed you've got some morning beverages here. That's because we're recording at a brand new time for us. We've usually done Sundays. Now we're trying Mondays.
Or as we basically, we wanted to participate in this whole idea that everybody who's not us has of like Monday being a quote unquote work day, where you spend quote all day quote unquote working. It's very novel. We're excited to experience it.
Just to give, I don't know, a little insight, at least into my life, when it was proposed, hey, do you want to do this on 11:30 Monday? I'm like, yeah, I guess I can get up that early.
You're like, you just make that trip to your iPhone alarm setting, and it's just like you realize that there's nothing before 1 o'clock, and you're like, geez, we're gonna have to peel back to the AM.
Oh God, I'll just switch a PM to an AM. Just reuse the alarm. Gentlemen, I've got a stumper for you. It's gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be a challenge, but we're gonna try this anyway.
All right, I'm ready. I'm feeling it.
Let's go.
All right,
I got my puzzle solving hat on. It looks an awful lot like my regular hat.
I'll give you plenty
I've got
of clues.
my enigma crushing underoos tightly bound to me.
A family in Abilene, Texas, was recently shocked to discover that their house was infested with blank. Their first clue came when a fully grown blank emerged from their blank Tuesday morning, startling their young son blank.
Okay. I feel like there's only one obvious starting point on the Weird Things podcast, and I'm going to have to go with snakes and vent. Unless you have another.
Snakes, always snakes. Hashtag snakes for life. Snakes, 100 years of snakes.
All right. And the second part, found where?
Oh, in the heating vent, like in the air conditioning stuff. I feel like. Oh no.
Let me proceed. I found this big clump, and I knew it was a blank. The little boy quickly alerted his mom. To the unexpected visitor, blanking up the blank. I was just like, "What did you do with this? What do you do with this?" "I don't know," she told the station.
Justin, you seem like you have an idea.
I think it's the toilet.
Go ahead.
A toilet?
The toilet. Yeah.
Wait, snakes coming out of the toilet?
Yes.
Man. Okay, this takes place where, Andrew?
Texas. I don't know if you heard of it.
Abilene, Texas.
Okay, so Abilene, Texas, that's rattlesnake country for sure.
Yeah. The A in Abilene stands for, there's a snake in the goddamn toilet.
Well, okay, so that's the only problem is I don't really follow the toilet part of it. Read it again with the blanks. They because it sounded like you were saying like a nest of snakes or something. A blank of blank.
They a family in Abilene, Texas, was recently shocked to discover their house was infested with rattlesnakes.
Oh wait, is that the answer?
Well, yeah, it is snakes. It's always snakes, right? It's always snakes.
Welcome to Weird Things, Brian.
That was the gimme. You think Andrew's gonna come in here on our first morning show and like start launching the hard stuff? No, this is the get us going puzzle.
This is basic. All right, we got a primer happening.
Wait, don't show this. Don't show this yet, Bryce. I don't want them to see because this is like. Remember how we had what was it in Alabama the old whitey or whatever that was.
Yeah. The white Bigfoot.
White booger. The white booger.
The white booger. Yeah.
Booger. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna like so. She recruited one of the kid's older brothers to get the shovel because he was 9, and they apparently they found an infestation of. They crawled underneath the house where they found another 10. 5 being babies, 24 snakes total, including the toilet snake. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you, this is anybody prospective people looking to move to a new community. This is what you need to do. The first step you need to do is if you find that they have this service there, don't go. How did they get rid of the snakes? You ready for how they got rid of the snakes?
I mean, I would imagine you chop their heads off, right?
Oh, Brian, do you do everything? Do you do everything around the house?
I mean, no, I do virtually nothing around the house. That's why I want to chop off the heads of anything that annoys me.
You'd call somebody, right?
Yeah, of course.
Who would you call?
1-800-snakekillers.org.
How about you call Big Country Snake Removal?
Yes! Yes!
When you live in a town where there's enough snake infestation problem that you can have an ad in the yellow pages for snake removal, maybe that town is not for
Brian, why don't you pick up the phone and call Big Country's snake removal?
Yeah,
this
hold
is
on.
For the Abilene, you are the father of the Abilene family.
Oh, golly, I'm so worried. I mean, I live here in Abilene. It's a nice small town. I hope the snake removal guys can take care of it.
Big Country snake removal.
Oh, hi. My name is Brian. I've got 3 lovely daughters and a wife, and we've got a mess of...
They don't sound like snakes.
No.
That's a joke I like to break the ice with.
No.
What's your problem?
Well, I mean, please don't remove my daughters, but we do have a lot of rattlesnakes, baby snakes, adult snakes. They're all coming up through the toilet.
There are 13 adult snakes here.
There are 13 adult snakes. That's my life partner, Andrew Main.
Well, 13 adult, and where'd you say they came from?
The toilet.
All of them, like one after another, like a clown car.
It was like reverse pooping. It was amazing. They just kept on coming out.
And now they're just all over the place. Like,
well, I mean, I assume so. I'm mainly relying on my 9-year-old daughter to tell me what happened. She says there's a lot of rattlesnakes upstairs.
All right.
And little Millie's gone to sleep and won't wake up.
Okay, all right. Apparently it's a problem. Can we please get the snakes taken care of? Because otherwise, I got a shovel. I'm going to start chopping heads off.
All right. Well, I'll be heading down there, but just so you know, I'm not going to touch the snakes because they got cooties. Bye.
No!
I don't have a lot of confidence in this snake removal service here.
I mean,
I feel like it's just he mailed away for this course, and they just sent him like the squeezers from the department store to get the stuff off the high shelf.
Sure.
And like maybe one page of instructions.
He had a very professional bedside manner, though. That's what made me feel like you know what? I'm going to give him 5 stars on Yelp. Hold on 1 second.
He hasn't removed the snakes yet, but. So those of you who may remember are, and I think Brian quickly forgot because it was so horrifying, was this snake being pulled out of the toilet video we watched.
Right?
Oh God.
Was that in India?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
we
so
laughed
that
at India. Ha ha ha! India, not here, not in our borders.
Yeah.
Guess again. So yeah, apparently they pulled 24 snakes, 13 of being adults, rattlesnakes from there. So again, that's a pro tip coming for you from your friends at Weird Things. Like, check for snake removal, which you might think it's cool that they got that service in your town, but that means they need that service in their town.
Do we
And
want to see the photos real quick?
Yes. Also, make sure to. Oh my God! Oh my God!
This is about.
By the way, Brian, you have not more accurately painted a word picture than you describing it as reverse poop.
There's like 2.5, 3 feet of
switch
snake.
to a liquid diet from then on.
Oh my God!
Oh, that's horrifying. I'm adult diapers from then on. That is so, folks. Let's describe that to them, please.
I mean, it's exactly what it seems like. Imagine a poop coming out of the toilet to go to your butt.
No,
It's-
imagine 1.5 feet of a rattlesnake sticking out of the toilet
That
into
too,
the bowl.
like all of the above. Oh! I don't like it. I'm not for it.
Hey, do you guys want to hear? Oh my God!
Oh yeah, this is a photo of the nest that they found of 10
That is
adult.
just a gang of these snakes.
Hey guys, I got a great place to hide Easter eggs.
Hey, for the record, rattlesnakes are crazy deadly. Like when we were shooting a certain television show, there was a certain rattlesnake handler, and he explained like, "Oh, this one's called S-head." He used a curse word though. He was like, "Cause he hates everyone. He bites them all." And then he was an Aussie, and he's like, "Well, like how far can they leap?" He's like, "Oh, I half again this size." And he's like, "So this one's what, about 7 feet?" It's like, "So if I get within 4 feet, you're like, yeah, he'll kill you." And then he holds out a thing, and the rattlesnake strikes it and leaves like a little puddle of clear material, and he holds it up in front of my face and says, Yeah, it's enough to kill all of us here. And then it was like, anyway, enjoy your shoot. and then and commence the shoot where I'm pinning down a rattlesnake. It was terrifying. It was totally terrifying.
Hey, by the way, do you guys want to hear the names of other Abilene snake removal services?
Oh my God, there's a competition for your business, of course.
Well, number one, you got to assume that Big Country has a good reputation because they passed over ASAP animal removal.
Which you would think you want them as soon as possible out of your life, but apparently not as much as you want the Big Country.
And then, of course, there is a Rent to Kill.
What?
Oh my God! It's called Rent to Kill.
Rent to
RENT.
Kill.
That's a big company. That's been around forever. I've heard of Rent to Kill.
Wow.
Yeah. Then you got Orkin out there,
Sure.
Rhino Pest Control.
Least
CNC.
popular is Rescue the Animals SPCA. Not a lot of compassion for the rattlesnakes.
Yeah, burn it with fire.
Yes.
So
And by that, Andrew means the entire town of Abilene. Like, you can please
Maybe
move,
Texas.
but like,
Nothing wrong with Abilene.
just,
Yeah.
it's just not going to be safe at this point.
They
By the
can
way,
play
Big
their
Country
once.
Snake Removal located in Buffalo Gap, Texas.
Buffalo Gap.
Yeah.
Texas
It's
ass
apparently
island,
where
son.
they keep the snakes in the Buffalo Gap.
I feel like we should move
jeez.
along before I say something.
Yeah, well, listen, we don't remove snakes, but we do remove evil mind gremlins from your head.
Yeah,
about
man.
what to do
Look,
with your
here's the
spare
thing.
time.
You know what? Andrew's too nice to say it. Justin and I, we're going to tell it to you like it is. You're infected. You're infected with a bad virus that's going to make your life miserable and you're going to die. You have mind gremlins, and the only way to get it out of your head is for us to show up and teach you the truth about Bigfoot, the paranormal, and all kinds of crazy stuff.
And the only way you can do that is by going to patreon.com/weirdthings. You can support this very, very show by doing exactly that. Kick in whatever you would like. And thank you to everybody who already has, putting us over the vaunted $500 an episode mark. We still have 8 more to go. And you too can be the 420th supporter of this very, very show. So patreon.com/weirdthings. Thank you to everybody who has, and thank you to everybody who will.
Is that what we're going for? We're going for 420 before 666?
No, we're going for like 1,000 patrons, actually, Brian.
What? No. But I mean, our next, it's like when you're running, you don't think about, oh, I'm going to finish this marathon. You think, I'm going to survive 800 more meters, right? Is that,
Yeah,
is
I
that
just
our
don't
next-
want somebody showing up and seeing there's 420 and being like, all right, I'm done.
Oh, they got
And,
it. Yeah. No, fair enough.
Oh no, I'm just saying everybody better cram in right now because it's like one of those progressive jackpots on a slot machine. It's coming up. It's coming up. You better get in there real quick.
I like it.
Right. True that. Gentlemen, you know what we like? We like learning. We like reading. We like getting information in our heads.
Yup.
How many of you tried speed reading?
You know what? I gave that a try based on, and this is an unfair, but I would say accurate analysis. There was a speed reading course that was taught by notorious individual Kevin
B.I.G..
Trudeau, who Kevin Trudeau has done memory courses. He's done a number of other things. He is famous for buying infomercials late night.
Prison time.
He went to prison. He was banned from selling products in the United States. The FTC full on said, you are not allowed to sell anything in the U.S. because you're so full of lies. And then he leaned back on, he's like, well, you can't take away my First Amendment rights. And so started writing the natural cures, quote unquote, they don't want you to know about. And continued to make a ton of money on that. But I remember he had a speed reading course, and I started it and then found out a little bit more about the individual and suddenly lost my appetite. Funny how that works.
True. And I know we covered one of the things before, like a couple different systems for like flashing words at you really, really fast and we had a discussion of that.
That was the closest that I got to it, was when you were mentioning that the whole idea that you could just flash the words very, very quickly. and you would wind up reading more.
Yeah, this is as a matter of fact, if you want a demo of it, this seems to be legit to me. It seems like you're listening to an audiobook at 1.5 speed. Spreeder.com, Spreeder. Like I'm watching it right now, and if you're watching the video, you're able to.
Yeah, so this is a bit of example text that they put in, but you put a piece of text in, and right now it's playing it back at 300 words per minute, but it's like a single word for like a fraction of a second.
So there's a book out. Mark Seidenberg has written Language at the Speed of Sight, How We Read, Why So Many Can't, and What Can Be Done About It. And there's an excerpt in Wired where he talks about speed reading courses and speed reading. And basically says that all that's pretty much BS.
Wait,
you can
like including the Spreeder stuff that we were just seeing?
Yeah, because the problem is that he breaks it down when you start getting into actual retention. What happens when you try to see if people can retain what's happening? You find out there really isn't any kind of retention. And in fact, that that he talks about breaks down the different myths, like taking more information at a time, and explains there's just limits to we talk about, like they say, like these things are based on, we're going to get rid of sub-vocalization. He says that's just a myth. That's not really what slows down or impedes your reading process, his speeds. He says that, that we read at a certain speed. We do this sort of thing because our brain takes a certain amount of time to process. That's what takes the time. Not that we're sub-vocalizing. It doesn't have to do with the eye tracking or anything like this. So he's gone through and he's broken down a number of things, explained why we haven't been able to come up with these, if you had, and this is sort of my argument, if we had really great effective forms of speed reading, you think we would have moved towards that if you had the information retention.
That's the argument against the idea of teaching chimpanzees sign language, is basically if it's in their brain, if the modules are there to process language the way humans process language, then they would have naturally evolved it on their own. For example, I just finished The Blank Slate, the Steven Pinker book based on your recommendation, Andrew. And one of the things he mentions is whenever you have individuals, who even if they don't speak the same language together, let's say their parents speak English and the other parents speak French, but the peer group is so powerful that the kids will invent their own language. That's where Creole comes from, right? Whereas, meanwhile, the idea that teaching a chimpanzee sign language is roughly the equivalent of going to an island filled with flightless birds, showing up and then just waving your arms up and down, and then suddenly they know how to fly. That was the metaphor that was put to me in my pseudoscience class back in college.
Well, he goes into and explains some of the different, says that speed reading's been and not a new idea. It says the ancient Greeks experimented with a method called baustrophaedon, literally ox turning, where they would have one line of text would go one way, then right below it the line of text would go the other way. So that way you could just read back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, or bidirectional reading. That really didn't catch on, in case you didn't notice. There is, the RSVP, Rapid Serial Visual Presentation. This is where it's flashed across the screen, which has been around, but different people have kind of reinvented it and thinking that it's a new thing. And when they've done studies on this sort of stuff, that they find that there was a laboratory study, college students could read with RSVP at up to 700 words per minute with good comprehension at about triple their normal speeds. Alas, our experiments also found the subjects could only sustain at high speeds with good comprehension for short bursts. And part of this has to do with our brains take in things in chunks. When we measure, let's say, kids watching Sesame Street, some kids will sit there, watch it all the way through. Other kids will get up and go around and play with little projects and stuff. Same level of retention. The kid who's watching and doesn't get up, it's sort of all of a sudden he's just started to think about bananas, and his mind drifts. And you have these buckets that our brain sort of has. Our RAM gets full, and you can't squeeze anything more in it. That's when we get fatigue, or we just sort of ignoring everything.
So how does that? So it seems like the comprehension killer is the speed at which you're running through stuff. You can increase the speed, and you can feel like you're getting everything, but the comprehension is not really great. I assume that there's no science on this particular aspect, but I'm curious. whether or not that means that when I listen to audiobooks at 1.1 speed or 1.5 speed, am I not getting it in spoken words? I wonder if there's a difference between translating the written word fast versus listening to the spoken word slightly quicker.
Well, I would imagine your audiobooks, the words per minute isn't going to be too dramatically different. I mean, I don't think it's like, because like there are a lot of fast speakers. There are a lot of language where people speak fast, but that's not, you're not going from 300 words a minute to like 2,000 words a minute.
Right.
In my guess. And so I think you're within that comfort zone of like, and certainly the more you read and the more you're familiar with words and concepts, the faster you can go. But trying to figure out these sort of shortcuts of, I will get rid of the vocalization or only scan the middle or these other sort of things, which I've heard, people tell us these things, I remember since in high school, as if they were facts. And then you find out, well, my teachers went to a course and somebody told them that and it seemed to make sense. But after the fact, they're like, I don't know.
Do you think that this is one of those pseudosciences that's just going to persist because it is this like semi-scholarly pursuit to want to read more and read faster, and so therefore it's not going to be like scorned quite as harshly as something that might not be involved in some sort of academic pursuit?
It is definitely the kind of thing that even if somebody gets it wrong, I think they get an automatic pass because it's a noble goal to shoot for. Whereas, in a way that, finding Sasquatch or the Loch Ness Monster or proving ghosts or whatever might not be as noble as, wouldn't it be great if humanity could learn faster and better?
Well, it's also a very fuzzy area because we know you can improve your reading comprehension. You can improve the rate at which you read. We all started from barely not being able to read to being able to read, and people who read more are better at it than people who don't. And so we know there's this range of improvement that can be achieved. It's what that upper limit is, and that's when the problem gets into like when it's these super high levels of that. And I've had these discussions with people a lot, like, about speed reading. It's like, what's your retention? What's your retention? Like, yes, you can say every single word, but when you get quizzed on it afterwards, what happens?
Right.
And I don't.
It's about.
What's that?
I mean, because comprehension's really what it's about, like burning through a thing and just doing the Johnny Five, like, great, like,
input.
That doesn't really do you much.
I'm with audiobooks. I'm always backing up. Like, did they say million? Did they say billion? Where was this clear? Because I want to make sure that I get every single detail. So I back up on audiobooks all the time just to be sure. And that was one of my things with like the flash sort of reading things. Like, I can't control that. And if I don't get a name or I don't get anything, there's not a way to go back. And so much of me is going back and tracking to make sure I got that little detail.
Although, to be fair, I'm kind of the opposite. The reason why I wound up getting attracted to audiobooks was because I could kind of lapse a little bit. I mean, Andrew and Brian, who have spent a lot of time around me, will probably attest that I can be a bit absent-minded at times and wander. When I've often found reading intimidating, physical reading intimidating, because I will wander and then I'll feel like I need to go back and I'm just constantly in this loop and it provides anxiety for me. Whereas an audiobook, I can kind of zonk for a little bit and then it's still going. And if I find myself totally lost, I'll go back. But if I can kind of pick up where we were, then I'll just stay where we were.
That's so funny because I very much am the opposite. And I know we've discussed this before, but it's like in a physical book, I hate the way my Judas eyes will betray me. Like if I turn a page and it's the end of the chapter, I can't not in my peripheral vision notice that it's the end of the chapter. And especially
I like how you blame your eyes, Brian.
Well, I mean, they move on their own. They jump ahead. They're all just like big block of text. Oh, there's dialogue coming up. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Read each word the way it was intended. Whereas,
gosh darn you, eyes selling me out for 3 pieces of silver.
Yes, exactly.
Brian's at the mall with Bonnie. Some girl walks by. Brian, it's not me. It's my Judas eyes, baby. It's my Judas eyes.
I mean, it feels that way, but that's one of the things I deeply adore about audiobooks is that it's the only medium through which I actually experience each word the way the author intended, and I have blinders on. I don't know how close to the end we are. I don't know what chunk is coming up next, or whether anything's weird, or whether or not we're about to be at a break to change scenes or whatever. Like I mean, there's a lot that I really dig about the audiobook experience.
I heartily agree. I love me audiobooks. Of course, I go through periods where I read a lot, and then I go through periods where they start to back up, and I have all those credits, and I'm like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? I mean, if you have a couple credits, you could, get the audiobook for my new book, Blackfall, coming out next month.
I
Just a
mean,
little
there's
plug.
that. That would be a good use. That credit would find a nice home with Blackfall.
Gentlemen, we talked a little bit about this before, and it's coming up again. And I think the more this thing gets mentioned, the more these things it was discussed. A couple of years ago, we talked about like what do we think might be happening in the future.
Is it
future
rattlesnakes? If it's rattlesnakes,
No.
you could just blink.
God, I
just,
hope not.
Just
No,
blink.
this may be the one place we'll be safe from them. We'll
Okay,
see.
good.
The idea of private space stations.
Dude, this is happening, man. Like, space is going. Okay, so you realize that when I first started touring, I was able to do something that no generation before me was ever able to do. I was able to essentially live in the center of the United States and commute to any place in the entire world. If I had a show, if somebody booked a show anywhere in the United States, I could wake up that morning in Austin and plan on hopping on a plane, getting there soon enough that I could drive to the show and do that show by 9 or 10 p.m. Like, that's going to happen for space. Like, that sounds insane to anyone who traveled by air in the 1960s or the 1940s or whatever. But it became a reality and a foundation to build a business on in the late 1990s, early 2000s. Same thing's going to happen with space, freaking space.
So a company called Axiom Space, its chief executive is Michael Suffredini, who is the former NASA program manager for the ISS. I think we've mentioned this before, but this was an article that came up in space.com. The company has plans to send up a module to the International Space Station in 2020 to attach to the ISS. Then, once the ISS reaches its end of life, to detach the module from the station and make it its own standalone space station.
Would either of you guys trust these inflatable modules? Because like they recently attached that, right? The one that self-inflated.
Yeah, the Bigelow one. Yeah.
Maybe I'm racist against balloon modules, but I don't trust them. I don't trust them.
I don't know
Whenever
that this
these
is a balloon
questions-
module.
But whenever these questions come up, there is wise words that were spoken to me once by Andrew Main about the idea of future tech fear and how silly it tends to be in our era of unlimited progress. And the phrase is always like, well, would you trust these banks filled with human blood? Like, oh, surely, like, it's just sitting there, banks of human blood, like, not what pumps through you and me, it's just standing there stagnant, full banks of them.
There was this article years ago, as an editorial in Newsweek, and a commentary, and I couldn't figure out if I thought it was satire because they were talking about like growing human organs, and it was like imagine a laboratory filled with brainless bodies. The only purpose is to provide us with organs. I'm like, okay, all right.
Seems
that's
reasonable.
what offends you.
Oh,
These
yeah.
brainless, like there are no brains there. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a little creepy. Like, yeah, it's a creepy image.
Don't
but
you understand, Andrew? Without the brains, how will the bodies know how much they're suffering underneath our power?
So as far as I can tell, Axiom, they're not doing inflatable modules. This is just like a kind of just a standard model. If you go to axiomspace.com and they talk
AXIOM?
about, they have a timeline, commercial launch. They want to attach to the ISS in 2020. And then the proposed, time frame for detaching from the ISS would be between 2024, 2028. So less than 10 years away. Private space station.
Hey, not for nothing, but wasn't Axiom the name of the space station in Wall-E?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, It definitely was the ship. It was the Axiom. Otto
That's how it
was the
starts.
evil robot, and everybody was overweight.
And the way you got to look at this too is like a space station's kind of like it's a thing in orbit that you can go attach other stuff to. You have certain services and things built into it. So you start with this one thing and like that big giant spinning wheel space station we want to see one day could start with a little module. I'm like, well, we're going to add on this other thing, and we're gonna build this thing outwards, and we're going to continue going on until we have this. But if you go to Axiom Space, you can check it out. And these are credible people. I mean, this is a guy that was in charge of the ISS for NASA, and a lot of real. This isn't. Sometimes you get these proposals from people who are just. There's one, no expertise or whatsoever. That's more like, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Like, yeah, what's your plan? Well, we'll hire somebody to make a plan for us.
Yeah, first pay us $25 and a piece so you can submit your video, and then we'll tell you. No, this seems legit, and you got to figure this is a lot of the stuff that we talked about is in the offing in a world where we are just going to space more frequently and cheaper, right?
How far do you think we are from the first global fugitive just hiding up in his space station? Like, will that happen in our lifetime? Will there be somebody like, let's say there's somebody who had a lot of money, was accused of, I hesitate to use actual names, but let's picture Julian Assange is currently in a embassy because it protects him from having to deal with this sexual charge. How far are we from instead of an embassy, it being just a dude being like, peace out, I'm going to space?
On a long enough timeline, Brian, yes. I think that guy can't even get across the street to go to Starbucks. I don't know how he's going to get to a spaceport, which you got to imagine will be the most secure facilities you could have.
Well, sure. I mean, that's my point. Is that that's where he is now. But obviously, at some point, he got to the spaceport before the heat was on.
You're saying like I'm going to go to space further out for me, and then I'm going to be. I guess when you have enough people up in space, I think that's the answer.
So in our lifetime or not in our lifetime?
I am very much looking forward to Roman Polanski accepting an Oscar from space.
I think it's because you could have somebody commit a crime or do something up there, and you're gonna have arguments over jurisdiction, and which we'd have it established, but you could still have. Doesn't mean that the lawyers are all gonna agree. That's
how long until the first space murder? Just place your bets. Place your bets, people. Space murder. What you got?
I mean, who said we haven't already had it?
Yeah, because talk about the Wild West, man. That's the wildest of Wests. Up beyond the horizon, right?
Wait, do we think a space murder has already happened?
I mean, it depends if you want to call incompetence and the death of astronauts murder.
Well, no, that would be manslaughter 1 at worst.
Yep, it's happened. Bryce just found this out for us.
This documentary.
This is a documentary for 1985.
Murder in
Space. Can you find a trailer for Murder in Space?
It stars Wilford Brimley. Oh my goodness.
And Michael Ironside. Holy cow!
Find a trailer.
This might be Weird Things Film Club.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I think we got one. Here.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, I think it's at some point. Oh, here we go.
Look at this documentary.
Wow, it kind of looks like Star Wars.
Spaceship overhead. We get.
It's so 1980s.
There's something going on up there.
Turn up the volume.
Together for 5 months.
It looks like it says Spencer for hire, but it says Murder in Space.
Can be thoroughly tested.
And have they been?
Yeah. Michael Ironside with mostly hair.
Getting along quite well.
And I can't hear any volume.
Guest appearance by Carl Sagan, apparently.
Floating bodies.
Talking about
People in hats. They got really good gravity. Wilford Brimley yelling at some people.
Oh my God! All right. Save this. We got to see this sometime.
Yeah. By the way, Wilford Brimley, who apparently was not taking any of the cues from the wardrobe department, he's just like, no, I'm just gonna show up, whatever.
Everyone's in spacesuits except me. I'm busy.
He's on Earth, guys. He's on Earth.
Do you know how much money I'm making from Quaker Oats right now? You have no idea. Yeah. I'll be in the firm next decade.
And then I gotta, get some stuff done because I'm Wilford Brimley and getting things done. Commercials, TV, everything. Just I'm America's grandpa. Yes. So apparently it happened, Brian. 1985. It's been done.
All right.
But yeah, I think you get enough people up there, it's gonna happen. And we've had there's the stuff the things NASA doesn't want to tell you.
By Kevin Trudeau.
Kind of. What's that?
By Kevin Trudeau, including the fact that you don't need to eat anything. You can eat goat fur.
We had a Skylab crew that basically went mutinied.
What?
That was Yeah, because I was in the 1970s. We had Skylab up there, and they were complaining about the workload. They said, you're stressing us out. There's too much work. We need to ease out this schedule. And they're like, nope, this is why you're up there. This is what you got to go do. And so what happened was they said, you know what? We're just not going to respond to you. And they spent an entire day, and I think it would make a great movie. They spent an entire day
going on
just
strike,
doing their own thing.
Wow.
December 28, 1973, they refused communications from Mission Control during this period.
I don't know if I'm happy or not happy that your friend of mine, Richard Garriott's dad, was not in that crew.
That was when I first thing I checked when I heard about that was to see if his
if it was his dad being super punk rock.
Yeah, it was his dad. So they did this sort of mutiny, and those guys never flew again.
Ooh.
So
you gotta know that that's happening, right? When you start refusing orders up in space, like that. That's
But also, oh
when
my
you get
God.
back, you're grounded.
They were space mutineers. How much better is that than I went to space twice? Oh yeah, I defied orders in space. I became a space mutineer.
They after the fact they went in and they looked to see what was going. What caused this? What contributed? This was a 12-week length of stay. This was 3 months. This was the longest we'd ever put our own astronauts up there for that period of time. How much work they're putting them through, et cetera. And so it changed up, what they did. But, the NASA as far as like how they worked astronauts, but apparently they held a grudge, so.
Am I remembering this right? Skylab was like they took the empty vessel that held the fuel for the rocket and then just threw stuff in there to outfit it and called it
no. It was just an upper stage for a Saturn. It was a designed thing.
But it was designed. Okay, got it. So it wasn't like it had fuel in it and then they spent the fuel and then
it was like imagine kind of the upper portion, the stuff that you'd go send to the moon and all that back. It was the upper stage put into orbit. But,
okay.
But it used a Saturn V. I believe used a Saturn V booster for that. So that was sort of part of that. So, but yeah, I mean, that was we didn't know what the limits were there. And you had a number of people at NASA were like, no, you need to follow through and do this. And so it was a bit of a challenge there. So that was changed much of what we did after the fact. The Skylab was a very interesting period of history. It's one of these things that doesn't get as much attention. These were effectively kind of our first sort of space stations. They had solar power. They had large space inside of there, and we got a lot of interesting information from doing that. So
yeah, this was on the tail end of the Cold War space race, where it was all about like outspending the other guy. What a weird artifact that was, where it wasn't actually about, or it appears to not actually have been about scientific advancement, but instead just being able to outflex the muscle. It's as though instead of fighting, the U.S. or Russia just got into a flex off, and then they took like the most badass bodybuilder pictures to win.
Well, I mean, to be fair to NASA, I would say that NASA's intent certainly was for the science and for that part of it was to try to accomplish that.
Oh, sure. I don't doubt that about NASA at all. However, the legislators signing for the budgets, I think, were a little more into the.
Yeah, and it was a missed opportunity to the really critical technologies we could have developed to have have both a technological and a space advantage. If we developed reusables and things like that, it would have been better. But that certainly didn't fit into kind of the contracting model.
By the way, that's one of those things that Carl Sagan kind of railed against in his book, The Demon Haunted World, and I think there's another book of A Pale Blue Dot is where he really goes nuts on it, saying like, stop sending people into space. It's dumb, it's cumbersome, it's expensive, and slow. You could send 10 robots for the cost of a single human being.
Yeah, but even he's not here to defend himself, but I totally disagree with him on that. And the head of the Mars robotic rover program says that one guy in a spacesuit in an hour could gather more data than what we've been able to do from every single mission ever.
Sure.
They're just not there. And I understand that first. I think that it should be doing both. I think the problem was just that we weren't developing the technology to make it more cost effective.
Well, it also seems like one of those, like you can't jump two spots where it's like if we understand what we would want to do and what we would want to collect and what we would want to examine physically, then we can design better robots that allow us to do that mechanically, right? And considering the distance and cost and time it takes to put anything on these far-flung rocks that we wanted to learn more about, that's a really, really high-cost gamble to say, yeah, look at all these rovers that are on there now. And it's like, oh, wow, look how outdated all the stuff is. And look how much of a challenge it is to keep in communication with them. Whereas, like Andrew said, one dude, you can get a lot done.
Yep.
And now next robot be that much better.
I think the answer is going to be everything, all the above.
Yeah.
Oh boy, gentlemen, what time is it?
Time.
I would say it's about looking at my watch here. It might indeed be Journey Quest time.
What?
Bong, bong,
Journey Quest.
Where were we in Journey Quest last? It was a big moment. We had just gotten into what we thought was a time machine. Turns out maybe not. The dude was gonna flip the switch, right? But then he died.
No, dude didn't die. You tried to drag him in there, but he resisted. He got out of it. You're inside of a machine that looked remarkably like an industrial oven, and he was speaking German, and it was very, very suspicious. Your proof that this man could bridge time and space was what? Yeah. Brian?
Oh, it was your chips.
Yeah,
was your
it was my oh boy Oberto beef jerky chips to cash in on the Atkins craze of the late 90s. Yeah.
Well, and he was doing this by he was proving that he had a time machine by asking us what fast food we would want from the past, and he would present it to us piping hot.
I mean, I gotta tell you, what are the odds that he just had that?
And
in my
freezer
defense,
of all of your foods.
yes.
Yeah, when we left our heroes, we realized inside this gigantic industrial structure, it also happened to be next to a food stockpile that had access to all of these food elements throughout all of history.
Which, by the way,
the
it's really a bummer if it turns out that we were hoodwinked, Justin. It's really a bummer because I was hoping maybe one of us would have been sent into the past and that there could be kind of like this one-way communication from the early 90s. But it looks like we just got hoodwinked.
Don't fantasy book. Also, if we're actually going to die, this is going to be the shortest Journey Quest episode ever because literally the switch was flipped. And if we're dead, then it's just, we're dead. So, Andrew, are we dead?
Well, hold on. Our ghosts might be able to inhabit other robot bodies or something. We'll see. Well, that's not up to us. Let's see how the facts played out.
Yeah, as the machine starts to turn on, they look through the window and they see this entire humongous cavernous, covering miles of acreage, refrigerated vault that's the USDA food storage center that keeps everything that ever was made. And they realized, man, this may not have been the best idea.
And for the record, Justin, that was a very specific order from Quiznos that they happen to have ready to go. You don't think that's weird?
You could just make Quiznos subs.
Yeah, I don't really. Like they just needed those kind of maybe that bread, but would you really be able to eyeball the different loaves from like Subway and Quiznos? They maybe need the cold cuts.
Is there a sauce? Is there a Quiznos sauce that might have been hard to replicate?
In my imagination, there was.
You eat Quiznos all the time.
I just said it. It just appeared. It was amazing.
Okay.
Whatever. All right. So now we look out. We feel very, very silly. The switch has been flipped. What happens?
Machine starts to vibrate, starts to shake. You smell some sort of strange gas. You feel a little bit woozy. Things go dark. You pass out.
Uh-oh. Hey, Justin, are you passed out too? I'm passed out right now. There's a blackness that has enveloped me.
You're just talking yourself in your dream, Brian.
In my dream, the two of us are playing badminton. We're world champions of badminton.
You feel like you're drifting through space. You feel like there's no up and there's no down.
Oh,
just dangling, but you're strangely warm.
The shuttlecock goes back and forth between the two of us because we're in space.
Now it feels like there's a bunch of blankets on you, and one by one they're peeling away, and you start to see light. You start to see light. You start to feel a sensation.
Emerging from the cocoon.
And now you wake up. You're staring up into the sky. It's a cloudy sky, and you realize you're cold because you're naked, and you're laying in the grass, both of you, side by side.
Together? Like, are our fingers touching each other?
If you want your fingers to touch, whatever you want to touch.
I'm asking for the facts.
You're cradling each other. You're cradling each other like little infants inside of a womb.
Oh,
And you look around, and there are trees. There are tall trees. There's coniferous trees. You seem to be in the middle of a meadow around a forest.
I stand up and immediately, just get the wiggles out.
I cover my junk.
No, I leave my junk out, but I wiggle all around to get everything nice and loose, just so it's not weird.
And your clothes are actually folded in a pile next to you, by the way.
I steal
I go to my
Justin's clothes.
I equip clothes.
I already took the clothes and ran away from Justin, cackling like a gnome.
How do you respond to this, Justin?
I let him go because I've been literally trying to abandon him for like the last 4 episodes. So
I only make it 4 or 5 meters before my feet start to hurt, and I was like, all right, that wasn't very funny anyway. I hand him his clothes. I put on my clothes.
okay, so Brian, we're alive.
Hey!
Double +1 to that because
Yep.
I thought for sure we'd be dead.
But what year is it?
I'm gonna assume that was not actually a time machine, and they just gassed us and experimented on us and left us in a random thing.
They said it was a time machine. Why would
They
lie?
also said they had a time machine that brought back Quiznos, and they just had a vault of Quiznos.
Okay, well, let's put
You
a pin
don't
in
know
that.
that they were pulling the food from the vault.
Yeah, that's see.
You
Listen,
only know they
listen
had
to
a
the
vault
narrator.
with the capabilities to do it.
That's right.
Maybe you don't know when that vault started. Maybe they put the vault together last year.
Hey,
And they were going throughout time to get food to put into the vault.
Justin, maybe they outfitted you with the same super sweet upgrades I have, so I jump as high as I can. How high am I able to jump?
About 8 inches.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh,
hey,
no.
why don't you ask your best Nazi friend, Adolf AI, the answer to all your questions?
I say, Adolf, scan the area. And I look around.
Crickets, nothing.
I hit my head thrice. Boom, boom, boom.
Your head
Adolf!
hurts.
I punch a rock.
Your fist hurts.
No!
Might be like the Terminator, man. You know, you don't get all the gadgets you want, except like giant killing machine robots.
I turn to Justin and weep openly, sad that I am robbed of the power that I had so enjoyed.
Continuing the disgust that I've had with Brian's fascination with these Nazi upgrades, I reject his outward outpouring of sadness. And
I turn to the blue skies above me and narrate as though somebody were listening. Well, look at this guy. Guess who's a fair weather friend?
all right. We look around. We try to see any kind of signs of life or civilization to walk toward.
Somebody's coming.
Sounds like a stampede.
Hide
Sounds like
behind
a
the rock.
stampede.
Hide behind the rock, Justin.
Okay, we jump behind a rock.
All right. You look and you notice that there's on the meadow, there's sort of a little bit of an incline, and you start to see shadows on the edge of it, and you see banners. You see banners on poles, and you see men in helmets, and you see lines of horses. There's at least like 200 men and horses in armor.
What kind of armor are we looking at? Like Japanese samurai armor? Are we looking at futuristic Mad Max armor? Are we looking at medieval period armor?
Rusty medieval looking armor.
Hmm.
And like some of them have like checkered, banners on them. Some of them have different kind of sigils on them and different.
Stay down and listen closely for more details. Can we hear what they're saying?
Yeah. No, it's like I don't know. They're speaking French and they, whatever. Sound maybe like French. Could be.
I give a gesture towards Justin that would seem to intimate that he should imitate a bird call.
And
Doesn't sound
You
like
hear-
it did much.
you hear more. You hear more hoofs, more things in the opposite direction, and you look on the other rise. What is there? More men in armor, more men in suits, more pennants.
Similar armor?
I mean, a little different,
But like as if it came from the same time period. Like
yeah, definitely.
they look like similar cultures.
Do they look like they're charging toward each other?
I mean, they're now lined up facing each other, and you guys are kind of in the middle, hiding behind rocks.
All right, Justin, listen.
Yeah.
It seems like there's about to be an epic battle between two warring factions of roughly similarly outfitted armies. In psychology, there's something called a pattern interruption. Did you ever see Saving Private Ryan? There's this moment that they're about to start fighting, and then Tom Hanks says, "Oh, I was an English teacher," and it really shakes everyone out of it. Let's do that. Let's hop up.
All right. Here we go. Are you ready, Brian?
Yeah, no. My
2,
clothes.
1. I grab Brian by the back of his shirt and I hold him up and say, "I found the traitor, and I'll sell him to the highest bidder."
I immediately start taking off my pants just in an effort to, because I assume we're working together on this. So I'm bottom naked and I start kicking and I start doing a Popeye impression. Hi,
Yeah, and I'm like, no, just keep saying, "I'm the traitor. I'm the traitor. I killed your mom."
Okay, I give Justin the benefit of the doubt and say, "I'm a traitor. What wares do I have for ye? I'm the traitor."
And you hear an eruption of laughter from both sides.
Oh, man.
Just peals of laughter, just, and comments about you don't speak French or German or English, the old ancient English, but you hear that sounds something like the words cold, diminutive, childlike.
I don't know. I cry. I begin to weep uncontrollably.
And then you go grab your pants.
No, I'm defeated.
You can't,
I know
some
what I'm
archers
best
just shot arrows through the air and they pinned them to the ground.
Yeah,
So you
apparently, throughout the machinations of linguistics, the phrase "toddler" has survived.
I look for a snake.
You find yourself surrounded by arrows, and you're pinned in.
Okay. I begin to do the chicken dance, continuously convinced that if I can just distract them, things will calm down.
All right. Two knights from either side come coming on their horses.
And meanwhile,
right up
I'm going.
Right?
Yeah.
Both kind of staring at you. One of them says to the other one, and maybe kind of like French, English, some sort of language. Let's call it off for today. This is not a good sign.
It's working, Justin.
Other army retreats. Right? Find
It's
yourself
working,
surrounded by knights.
Yeah.
I keep on going.
Some guy gets off his horse, walks up to you and says, "What landest art thou from?"
What landest art thou from?
And you get stricken across the face with a chain gauntlet.
All right. So Florida, for me, and my pal here is from Texas, and he's a traitor, and I'll be
Sounds
happy
like
to
a
sell it to you.
Spaniard to me. Florida, Spaniards.
Oh, no, I don't know. Geez. Oh, I mean,
Hey,
what
Justin.
landeth do you want me to be from?
One second. Might I palaver with my compatriot here? Hey, Justin. What if it really was a time machine? What if it's 1400s? What if we got teleported? Because think about it, like we showed up naked, and these guys are all like old timey.
We also had our clothes with us, though. That seems weird.
All right.
You never
Like,
know.
hey, your fool amuses us. We're going to bring him to our duke to entertain him.
I
Hey,
give a significant
perfect.
glance to Justin and cock one eyebrow high as if to say, a duke? Maybe I'm right.
I'll tell you what. Do me a favor, Sir Purchase a lot. You got a few doubloons for old Spaniard selling fool man? And also, which way is the airport? Also, do you have a Wi-Fi that I could hook up to? Because I'm trying to get
You
this.
amuse us too. You shall put on a show for the duke. And all of a sudden, there's this cart. You're thrown into the back of the cart, like with some squealing pigs and some mud and stuff.
I'm
and
still
you're being hauled away.
I take a break. I realize that this is my one moment to rest up for my next performance, so I stop performing the chicken dance and I sit down. I cross my arms and legs and I close my eyes in sweet repose to get ready for my next performance.
All right, and there's an old man sitting in the car, and he's like, "Oh, you're the new entertainers, I see."
Shh,
yeah.
I say to him.
Hey, by the way, where are we? I think we got a little lost.
Oh, you're in the I think the duchy of is it Aragonia? I don't know. It changes so much. It's hard to tell. You know, I forget which shire we're in.
So I lean over to Justin and I start to give him notes on our next performance. I was like, listen, this is going to be a big moment when we perform for the Duke.
Right. Let's go ahead and table that for 5 seconds. What we've been on the road for a long time. What year are we in the year of our Lord? What are we in?
Oh, I think it's the 20-30 year of our Duke's reign. I think it's about then.
Okay. So what season of Seinfeld just aired?
So, you're brought to a castle. There's a castle. Actually, come there. There's mud huts, everything, all of that. You know, squealing pigs, naked children, all the gross things they had in medieval times, right? Okay, I didn't care back then, right? You brought through the castle, you brought through the mud, you brought across a moat, you're brought into there, and they bring you down into we'll call it a dungeon, but they say it's the artist headquarters, the entertainer's headquarters. And you're put in a cell. There's a knock on the door.
Hey
guys.
I take this moment to remind everyone that my writer specifically says no mayonnaise on any of my delicious treats.
If you keep talking, you're literally going to get a writer. You're going to have somebody slap it saddle back.
Yeah. All right.
Well, Brian, there's good news, bad news. Good news is they want to accommodate. The bad news, I don't think there's anybody here who can read.
Right. Okay. So I again mentioned that they really should have talked to my agent before this booking. But that I'm willing to work with whatever they got. What, by the way, also what do you got?
What we need is we need you guys to do like 15 minute show for Duke to entertain him. Listen, acts he likes, he gives money to, sends them off on their way. Acts he doesn't like, we don't need to get into that.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
I think we need to pull out our A material, if you know what I mean.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what you think our A material is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, remember
It's
that
like,
bit
with
that
we had some other travelers who showed up in the middle of the meadow suspiciously, and they were they called themselves what was it? What was the term they used to do? It's jugglers. I think kind of like our jongler, but they were sort of jugglers.
Sure.
And they were technically skillful, they were good, but they used the same lines as the last group of jugglers that came through here. And our Duke kind of hates copying, and so kind of like took off their heads.
Boy, do we have good news for your Duke, because unlike those jugglers, you, my friend, have found two juggalos.
Oh, good. Good. And the other thing he hates is he hates comedians and magicians.
Well, good. No, we're juggalos.
Ew, okay. Well, it's a good thing I'm a philosopher and Brian here is
He loves magic. He loves magic. It's too bad you're a philosopher because he really loves magic. Loves it. Loves
well, I mean,
it.
but the magic of philosophy is truly enchanting.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to let you guys plan. I'm going to leave you. Go get things ready. I got to go polish the stage, get the candles lit, sharpen the guillotine, which they didn't invent until much later, but we came up with our own sort of version of that, thinking that someday they'd have it.
There's only one way to go.
What?
The current state of fire eating will last for as long as anyone can project.
So you're saying I got to eat fire. Hey, real quick, Guardmaster, do you have hydrocarbons of a sort? Have ye any whale oil? No.
You want? I mean, we have pitch. We have pitch with coal.
Okay. All right. Look, I have an idea, Justin. listen.
Yeah.
It's a big deal for me to ask this of you, but it worked so well at Dragon Con back in the day. We need you to do the all set up magician, and we need you to do it long enough for us to survive forever. You need to outlast them. You need to set up bit after bit in nested scripts so that we're so deep that they can't possibly slay us before they find out where this is headed.
So you want me to go in front of a power mad Duke who kills acts that he does not like and intentionally do a bit that has no payoff that makes the audience feel like they've been had?
Yes.
I kind of like you eating unsafe fire better.
Okay, look, I'm just saying you'll be more engaging, and then while you're doing that, I could kind of sneak around the sides. I'll act like your assistant, constantly doing the setup, and then I'll get behind the Duke, and I'll hold a knife up to his throat, and then we can demand that we get...
All right. You want to know? You got to drive the last time that, you know, we wound up murdering a bunch of people that were there for your birthday party. I'm going to do it my way. Here.
All right, you take the lead. You take the lead.
We're ready for our show.
I bang on the cage saying, "We're ready to perform."
All right, I'm going to take you to wardrobe. There's a lot of different costumes you can choose. You know, we got
whatever
jester
looks.
outfits.
I choose what looks like Tron with the Hyali scoop basket.
Why is your friend holding up nothing?
My friend, Justin.
See this Tron Hyali basket. I'm explaining what we have here. Now you can tell me your fantasy sort of things, fool. But we have jester outfits. We have a few different kinds. We've got Harlequins too. Harlequins. Yep. We've got jesters. We've got sometimes the Duke likes it when men dress up as maidens and dance for him.
Okay, I dress up as a maiden. I dress up and I put Bugs Bunny style. I put on big red lipstick and I start practicing like.
There's a big shock. All right. I dress up in the classic jester outfit.
Fantastic. All right. You brought up the stairs. Go through some curtains. There's some fanfare. All right. Brought up there. Go around. There's people crowding around. It's court. They kind of look a little bit bored, like maybe they've been stuck here for a while.
I make eyes with a few of the gentlemen courtiers.
All right. So here I come out. I triumphantly take center stage and I say, Duke, fair Duke, we have come from far to give you a precious gift of song, dance, and entertainment. I would like to present to you the hearty wench, Brianna.
I walk up, holding my dress as daintily as I can. I cross my legs and give a deep bow, keeping my knees straight and letting ever so much of my ankles show to the gentlemen courtiers of the court.
Okay, I lean over to Brian and I just go, all right, listen, this is going to seem really, really weird. Just need to go with it. Okay.
I look Justin and we lock eyes and I say, I trust you as a friend and compatriot who've been together through thick and thin. I know that whatever you have in store for us is what's best for us in the long term.
All right. I say, all right, y'all, I need you guys to start clapping. Here we go. And everybody.
I start miming a big clapping motion so that everybody does it to a one singular beat.
At which point I begin. There's only one place where you can go, where the price is right. And I sing the entire radio edit of Two Live Cruise.
The Funk Shop.
The Funk Shop.
The Funk Shop. Yeah. Selling it. I do that 80s dance where you shake your chest in front of people to show that I'm into it.
And I just keep telling Brian, scandalous, more, twerk it.
I show all the way up to my mid calf to various people.
At the Funk Shop, and then I end with big jazz hands.
So your escort says, "Gentlemen, that's great." And as soon as we open up the big doors and bring you into the Duke's chamber, you can do your show. People waiting at the outside are very entertained by this. Very entertained by this.
I cast a sidelong glance at Justin as if to say, again.
I mean, medieval architecture. Jeez, like you just never know where you are, right? This is a great castle.
All right, take a
Like
deep
this
breath
one, That was
in.
the inside of where the Duke was.
I begin to do my vocal warm-up exercises. The Puppet capital is not in Canada, rather in Mexico, Mexico, Mexico. Canada, Monaco, Remedy, Primacy. Yes, Tibet, Tibet, Tibet.
So these two doors open up. It's a darkened room. There's some candles around there. At the end of it, there's tapestries on the floor. There's just candles spread throughout, and at the end of the room, you see a canopied bed with like a thick kind of silk, whatever sort of material that you can't quite see through. You vaguely see the outline of somebody there, but they're laying in bed.
Okay, I take a deep breath in, and I mutter, at the funk shop, at the funk shop.
All right, your escort says, "Okay, gentlemen, you're on," and he backs up, shuts the door, closed. It's just you two into the room.
Right.
The canopy bed.
And so I shout to the crowd, like,
There's
all
no
right,
cr-
all y'all.
It's literally just the bed, right?
I mean, there's somebody in the bed. You see the
Yeah,
outline
no,
of the
I
person.
shout. Okay, look, Justin, we've talked about this. There's always a crowd there. You just have to imagine them. All right, ready? All right, all y'all.
As I put a full backhand into Brian's face.
I say, Adolf, status report.
Ladies, we know what's going on with them, right? Hey, Duke, this one's for you. We've come from near and far, mostly far.
Okay, frustrated by Justin's assertion of dominance, I changed the plan, and instead of performing the number we had just rehearsed by Two Live Crew, I instead begin to enact and dance to the Fat Boys and Wipeout. Wipe it out.
Another backhand graces Brian's face. Silence yet.
You can't tell if it's laughter or coughing and laughter.
Wah wah wah. Wah wah wah.
This time, sparing the backhand, it's a full fist right across Brian's chin.
I point at the bed and mouth the words, maybe he's Santa.
To which, all right, Brian, here we go. Big finish. Big finish.
Hey, watch out. Wah wah wah.
This time, a full jumping roundhouse kick catches Brian right in the temple.
Well, then you notice next time on Journey Quest.
I think we nailed it, Justin. I think we got this.
Brian, I think
Gentlemen.
we're going to be killed because I
No!
think that dude just died.
I-
Dude just died laughing.
You killed it.
Hey, man, I got a pick.
What a pick.
Dude, we're going to talk about it on Spoiler in Time right after Cord Killers, but Season 2 of The Expanse is out, and I tried real hard to watch it, through traditional cable means, and it was not a pleasant experience, and I ended up just buying it on Amazon, and I'll tell you what, man, it's tempting to immediately compare it to Battlestar Galactica, and we've talked about this before. I think the first season of Battlestar Galactica is maybe the best single season of science fiction ever, full stop. But part of the reason it was so good is because it was so human and so great, even though it was in a mythical, faraway place and time. Whereas The Expanse is great for different reasons. It's not as human and visceral as Battlestar Galactica, but it is so tangible. It is so the universe in 20 minutes from now. It's in the solar system. It's very, very believable. It's a Cold War story between Earth and Mars and the folks on the asteroid belt. I'm just loving it. If you haven't watched it, you could dive in, watch the whole first season, and jump into the second season.
And the first season's on Amazon now for free.
Oh, is it?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I found out in the last episode of Jury, while I interviewed my friend Harry Turjanian, and we were remembering that there was a point where we were both in college sketch comedy groups, that he and his group came to Syracuse to do a festival, and they all wound up sleeping on my floor. And one of the people that was in that group was Donald Glover from Atlanta, and Childish Gambino. He's absolutely taking off, and he's insanely talented. But what I did not know until Harry reminded me was also apparently in that group and sleeping on my floor was Rachel Bloom of F Me, Ray Bradbury, the
no
viral
kidding,
and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, the show on the CW. So I wound up, I had never watched Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Hot on this news, I watched a couple episodes. It's really, 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 it's a well-constructed, ambitious show that does like 2 musical numbers per episode, which is kind of crazy. But if you liked Glee, I would recommend it as being very good. And it is certainly a tremendous headlong dive into female neuroses, which is something that I always enjoy and reminds me greatly, so much so that I had to call and make sure that she was watching the show, of a friend of Andrew and I, Rachel, who is also a neurotic, very smart, funny Jewish lady, and it delighted me in how similar the characters were. So Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is my pick.
I have a pick, and the pick is split. M. Night Shyamalan, his new movie, and I felt like I haven't been into his movies in let's say maybe over a decade and a half, and I saw this. I enjoyed it. I think that some of the writing kind of was some of his sort of heavy-handed, kind of like, well, that wasn't as subtle as that maybe could have been, whatever. And here's the thing, because here's where it's going to get tricky, is the only reason I saw this was because I heard of a spoiler for it. A spoiler for it actually made me want to go see it.
I only know about it because Jeff Kanata implored as a gift to everyone. He said, "You want a gift? Go see Split," not knowing literally anything about it. See it right now before you hear about it, before you hear reviews of it, before everything. And I tried to make that happen, but I wasn't able to do it before I went out on the road. But I'm still hoping that'll happen.
I'm not gonna spoil it, okay? But I'm gonna qualify it. It is not in the story itself, it's not a kind of like, and it turns out it's modern day times kind of thing. It's not the kind of twist that you normally would expect with an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I would say it's a different kind.
It's not like a Vanilla Sky kind of like.
No, and I was worried that it was going to be one of these things like it's all in his head kind of thing,
right?
And it wasn't that kind of thing. It was a different, and it's not even, I would say, a twist.
Right on.
In a sense, we do it. So I will. Justin, when I told you this, did this make you want to go see it more?
Oh yeah, 150%. It is. I don't even want to qualify because it does immediately remind me of a thing that happened in another film. Mm-hmm. But I to even mention that would be
yeah,
far more, would be very, very interesting. But I will say this, the twist. Yeah, I can't even think of a way that doesn't, like edge toward.
Yeah, I brought a friend who knew nothing. I said, "Do you want me to tell you anything?" He's like, "Nope, we're gonna go." So I'm like, "Okay," because if we're going to go see it, I don't need to tell you anything. And he literally lost his blank when it happened for reasons loved it. So anyhow, that's my pick. Is Split.
Right
Same
on.
theater.
Yeah. It's very, very interesting who reacts to it and who doesn't, because there is a bit of a qualifier, which is interesting.
Yeah. So that's my pick on that, and I think in a couple weeks we'll have to be able to discuss it because time's up. Spoiler time will be up. My opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I was not going to see this movie until I heard this. I'm like, oh, that's motivates me. So there we go. Gentlemen.
Also, yeah.
It's been weird.
Gosh darn right.
All right. Bathroom break.
Yeah. Take a quick break. Like 5.
Quick break, y'all.
Go pee pee poopy. A lot of new faces, a lot of fresh faces in the chat room today. Thank you guys for checking out the show. I know it's a different time slot, but it seemed like we had a lot of people checking us out. So thank you. Let's see what we got. Let's go to show the list. Let me copy these titles. Good titles. How you doing, Justin?
Oh, man, I'm doing pretty good. I'm trying to think of what we want to talk about on Hotline Monday today.
Oh, right. That's today.
Busy day.
Busy Mondays, yeah. Well,
It actually is lucky that it's not as busy as I thought it was going to be, because initially I had to do Daily Tech News Show today, too.
Oh, that's right, because you normally do Wednesdays? Do you do Tuesdays? Or
Thursdays, but there was going to be a little flip-a-doodle switcheroo because of Veronica thing.
Sure. Those Veronica things, but this is not Veronica things. This is weird.
No,
things.
and then it wound up being that I didn't have to do it.
Okay.
Did you know that the Lady Gaga thing was pre-recorded on the roof?
What?
Because initially, I thought that, but I also thought that the stuff in the sky was CGI. And then as soon as I found out that the stuff in the sky,
The stuff in the
drones.
sky, yeah, that was drones. That seems weird.
Well, it made a lot of sense to me that it was pre-recorded.
So
Just
it was just the opening with her singing the national anthem, not once she jumped, she was actually in the air, and
Once she jumped, she was gone.
That's a bummer. That's a bummer.
I mean, but that's just sensible, right?
I guess so, but I don't know why you would do it. If I'm thinking of reasons why they would do that, it's either because they couldn't get the timing down from her jumping to getting on the stage, which seems weird because they choreographed that pretty well, or they weren't sure the drones were going to work.
I think it's both, yeah, and also you want. Considering the checkered history of people being lowered down on cables,
Sure.
Oh,
I
jeez.
think for safety reasons,
Mm-mm.
you want it to be as stable as possible, that you are literally just hoisting her up, she's suspended, and you are slowly lowering her down, and not the dramatic leap off the edge of the NRG stadium
Yeah.
was portrayed. I think that to me is fine to be a little theatrical conceit.
Yeah, I guess so. It did seem that, I guess in terms of things being pre-recorded, that doesn't bug me too much. Though there were some moments in some of her songs that I felt like, oh, are you lip syncing right now? Are you good?
I mean, she kind of has to, right? For the amount of
Sometimes.
movement and everything that she's doing. I always if you are dancing and singing, I assume you're lip syncing.
Really?
I just think the drone thing was just BS. I just was like that. It's like,
Wait, by BS you mean faked?
yeah. I mean, the fact that they didn't do it, it's like, oh, cool. We're doing this live. Oh no, you can't do that live now. And so it's like,
Yeah.
so what's a live show?
Well, yeah,
it's
I initially was like, oh, it's CGI, so it's pre-recorded, and then it's like, oh no, they were drones, and
I
I'm
didn't
like,
see any of that, by the way.
Well, they
Good.
there is plenty of technology to do, 3D in camera CGI.
Yeah.
Like if you told me that they were doing all that CGI, real time, I would believe you because I've seen that technology. I mean, years ago. Though I guess keying would be the issue. In any case, I thought it was otherwise a pretty good set. It was a shame that the piano song that she's contractually obligated to do every time she's on camera was a really boring one. But
Yeah, but what other Lady Gaga ballad would you want there?
I mean, she's got tons of them though. Is the thing. I mean, I guess like that was also the only new song that she performed.
Well,
really?
yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's the only new song. It's probably one of the better of the new songs that she came out with. And also, it's like if you can't name another Lady Gaga ballad that you would want to go there, then to me they're interchangeable.
Well, I mean, I would probably go with Dope. I think Dope is really good.
Yeah.
But overall, it was pretty good. And I liked as a cord cutter. I liked that the NFL Twitter tweeted it out not long after it happened, so you could just watch it online for free and not have to deal with like finding a screen cap or some off-screen, BS.
Yeah. No, I liked it. I thought it was really the one thing that I was kind of like hoping for is when she was doing Telephone.
For Beyonce to come out?
Yeah, because Beyonce's on the song. It's in Houston. Sure, she was on the last one, but it's like
right.
that I think would have been the big if you were going to do a cameo.
This was the first Super Bowl halftime in a long time that wasn't like, hey, let's get special guests at all.
Let's get 50 different special guests. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Because, like, for as far as I can remember, that's always been the Super Bowl thing of, like, get featured guests on these songs.
Remember they did a funky thing this year. It got floated around and then it got shot down. But apparently what they were trying to do is they were trying to find a performer who was willing to pay to do the spot.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. I remember hearing about that.
And then there was a quick backtrack because it was kind of like, are you serious? Do you really want to risk Nickelback getting the money together to make that happen?
Kuhan does remind us that Beyonce just announced she's pregnant, so that must mean she's a ways in. That's a good reason.
Yeah, it's funny. And tell Coachella that.
Oh, right. That's right.
But yeah, no, I think I remember that article where it was initially about, it was like, they had asked like Katy Perry, somebody else, and Rihanna. And the story made a point to say that they asked for payment from the other two, but not Rihanna, because apparently nobody wants to go to Rihanna and ask her to pay to play.
Well, when you have a song, when you have a song like "Be Better Have My Money,"
Exactly.
you better
yeah.
have her money, not the other way around. Huh? Alrighty, are we good for after things? I sent you a viewer question earlier today, Andrew. Don't know if you
Got it in front of me right now.
Oh, it's always good, always clever. Let me see if I can pull it up.
So Marcus says he's too good for us to do the show, so it's just us.
Yeah.
Believe it.
That sounds
I
right.
believe it.
That sounds right.
He's got it. He's doing the castle tonight. Excited.
Classic Marcus.
Oh, nothing.
Holding on. He's all selfishly holding on to all his success secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Well, then, in that case, let's do the After Things show. Huh?
Hey, that sounds like a good idea.
All right. Well, let me count you. How's your hand doing, Brian?
I don't know. I wanted to see how it looked on camera. How does it look?
Looks a little discolored, but
Yeah.
not disfigured.
No more Doctor Strange hand.
It's pretty still.
It's pretty red. So,
I'm gonna have fairly pronounced scarring, but it's fine.
Brian, if I haven't showed you any sympathy, it's just because the mere thought of that wound terrifies me, and I will make jest and jokes of it so it doesn't become a reality to me. I don't want to believe your pain is real, because if it does, then I'll feel horrible.
Fair enough.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, let's do After Things in 3, 2.
Welcome to After Things. I'm Andrew Main, joined by Brian Brushwood
Hello, beautiful people. It's good to see you again.
and Justin Robert Young.
Well, hello.
Yeah, boy.
So on After Things, we like to have the chance here to talk to people about things you're working on, and sometimes people send us questions, which we've got. We've got one, I think, from James Harrison, who has one, and then I'm going to do a quick aside. I had the pleasure Saturday of speaking over at UCLA for an extension course on like building your own sort of literary franchises. And I was there to talk about publishing and self-publishing and all that. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And it forced me to sort of think of like what would be the most important thing that I could condense down into and say, if I'm going to teach you one thing or tell you one thing, this is a thing I'm going to tell you, which we'll address at the end of the show. There's a little bit of a hook.
Cool.
Meanwhile,
real quick, if I can interject, I had a show night before last up in Schenectady, New York, and it was one of my first performing arts theater shows, like full on. They sold tickets to the public, and whoever bought it, and so on. And it was really fascinating to have some of the audience know not just who I was, but like be fans of all the way down to the Weird Things and the BB Live show days and so on, and other people who had no idea who I was. But the most satisfying thing was that the fans all got together for an after party after the show. And I just want to give a quick thank you to everybody who put together doing that. It felt like a bit of a family reunion of a bunch of people who had never seen each other before.
you know, I want to. So let's go into this question by James. I'll throw out there the one thing that I want to do, and then I want to spend the rest of the time talking about the show and getting ready for that, and what's going through your head as you're putting on a live thing, because that's fascinating, and I want to dive into that. So first, let's just James asked this very, very poignant question. Says, have you ever been overwhelmed with a task? By which I mean you have found yourself looking at the big picture of the goal you're trying to achieve, and it grinds you to a halt. Did you have the answer to solve this? Did you succumb to the pressure at least once that made you decide today is a good day to visit the bookstore, new restaurant, hobby place? How did you get back on track? Thanks in advance, James Harrison. I don't think any of us can relate to this. I don't think we've ever dealt with this. So let's just move right on.
I mean, really, we're talking about the whole nature of biting off more than you could chew, where it's like you say yes because it's a great opportunity, and then you're faced with the reality of it. Justin, did you have a panic moment when it came to saying yes to the BitTorrent gig, or did that feel manageable the entire time through?
No. I mean, I don't think that those are really the issues where I hit that stuff. It's more the the like, and I'm going to use an example that's not my example, but like, when Andrew coming to me and saying, like, this is my goal for publishing, and then going from 0 to 100 of like, the pathway between Andrew writing stuff that he gave to me and didn't publish, Andrew publishing something, and Andrew getting a deal to have those things appear in bookstores is a million different mini goals that from a distance look like this very simple 0 to 1, And I think that those are really the things that tend to choke me up, and I think that's what James is talking about. But for me, I mean, really the biggest thing was, probably making a living on podcasting. That's obviously something that is a very seductive, easy thing to think of. Do a podcast, it gets popular, make money, you're done, right? And ultimately, it's a billion different mini goals to really get to there.
And it is a two-way street where it's like you set your target. You go from 0 to something. As I'm fond of saying, like going from nothing to literally anything is the hard part. After that, it's a matter of fidelity. So let's say you have aimed for, let's say 1 is targeted as something rather ambitious, just as you can discover that you have more free time and bandwidth than you originally thought, and as a result are able to invest more to do it even better than your target was. The reverse is true as well. It's like, okay, at the end of the day, what is my obligation for this one public event? I am obligated to show up, do something, and collect a paycheck. What that something is, if you're in a place where it's like, well, I don't have blank, I need so-and-so, there's not enough time to develop X, you can dial back the ambition of your goals and still satisfy to the extent that a client will be very, very happy with what you do. Like have you ever done that, Andrew, where it's like at the end of the day, you acknowledge, like, look, at the end of the day, they don't really care how good this one trick is. What it is they want the guy from Don't Trust Andrew Main to show up and be pleasant and make everybody happy. And then you sort of restructure everything from there.
I will, I mean, like, first step, I break everything down into small steps as possible. I mean, that's me. Like, it's the big, huge thing. And like, when you say, I want to have a TV show or I want to do something huge like that, that's so many moving parts, so many things there. If you try to think of everything that has to work, it will go insane. So you just say step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. When it comes to those things you mentioned, like you're asked to go do this sort of challenging thing, I have my plan A and my plan B. Plan A is my ideal, everything I want to have go right. Plan B is my fallback, just get it done. So if I got a call that was like, oh yeah, we want you to go do a big magic show Friday, the first thing I'm going to sit down and do is take all of the stuff that I do all the time that's super easy for me to perform, that I can do in my sleep, put that there, literally sometimes just put that on a table, put that in a box, put this on a case and say, I've got this.
Yep.
I can go here and I can do 20 minutes, no problem. Now I'll go pull out the other stuff that's a little bit rusty or a little bit new to me or whatever and say, let me take one of these bits and see how far I get it going in the next couple of days. And then by Wednesday night, I'll decide what I'm going to do.
Well,
and so what I do is I create my fallback. Like if I have a deadline for, let's say, like doing edits on a book and it's for a publisher, I'll go through and I'll do my first pass to get as much of it done as I can. And I'll say like, okay, here's some of the deeper things I want to do. Let me get this stuff done first. And then I can go dive deeper and really stress out of it if I have to. I find that 1, I don't need to often do that other stuff, but 2, I'm in a much better place because now I'm not worried about total failure.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it helps a lot. I don't want to speak on behalf of you gentlemen, but I suspect it's the kind of thing that if you ever find yourself overwhelmed by the task, a good thing to do is back up and ask yourself the question, what is it they're really buying? What is it they really want out of this? Do they really want your pickpocket show? Do they really want your magic show? Or do they want a successful party where everyone talks about how great a time they had and they want to come back next year? If it's the latter, all of a sudden you realize that there's a lot more tools at your disposal that you didn't realize. And that's very much, what happened even between the 2 shows that we did in Schenectady at this performing arts venue. It's like, okay, what is it that the people who are coming, there's 2 types of people. There are people who are coming because they hear there's a magic show, and then there's other people who hear that there's Brian Brushwood doing a thing. And knowing that allowed us to decide between the first show and the second show to say, like, you know what, I bet a lot of people are fans of Scam School. You know what might be fun is if we actually taught a Scam School effect and brought that experience as if you're watching Scam School and participating and get them on stage. Breaking out of the straitjacket, so to speak, of thinking we have to do the stage show as it's always been done before, but instead thinking, what is it that people want? They want to show up, have an hour and change of entertainment time, feel like they're connected with Brian, and then go home happy. Allowed us to do things that were not on the menu for the main show that I hadn't even considered before.
I think to the question, what I have always found, and I've certainly taken this from Andrew, is in breaking down, being like, there is a discipline in breaking down your tasks. Like there is a real, like, you have to be hard on yourself and the task about what the smallest step forward can be. And if you start to conflate things, then that's where you start to get into the really harmful area where you are now trying to do not only what you need to do first, but also thinking about step 7, 8, and 9. And now you are affecting your progress on step 1 because you're thinking about step 8, And it's not to say that step 1's more important than step 8 or that you shouldn't be thinking about step 8. It's just that step 1 needs to get done in its entirety before you can start moving on. And it's that's to me where a lot of stuff in my personal work style winds up blowing up on the launch pad is I just short circuit, because now I'm thinking about how to connect these two disparate steps as opposed to just finishing the first one.
I'm a big believer in, one, you break it down into concrete objective steps, a thing you do, not an outcome you wait for, not the universe telling you it's the right thing to do, but a physical thing you can do. When I get very stressed out, and I got a lot of projects right now that are stressing me out, I sit down and say, one, I need to go do this today. Wake up. This is my priority. Today I woke up. My priority was doing weird things. I know what I'll be doing for the rest of the afternoon. It's part of a much, 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 much bigger project. And it can be very daunting and frightening. And I kind of go, why am I doing this? Is this is just sort of wishful thinking, but I have to proceed. Now, the question James asked, like, do you just sort of like, decide, hey, I'm going to go do something else, take my mind off of it? No. I learned that's the worst time to walk away from it, because you teach yourself that's what you do when you're stressed out. If you teach yourself when you're stressed out to just not get the thing done, when you're dealing with even harder stress, more difficult things, you're less prepared. It's like working out. If you never push yourself past the pain limit, if you never put yourself to a point where you have to endure and do it, you're ill-equipped for it. So I'm a believer, like when I'm most stressed, that's when I put my most amount of attention to it. And I always find out like trying to write a book was, years ago, 5-6 years ago for me, that would have caused me a tremendous amount of stress. My brain would have been hurting. I would have been it would have been short circuiting. I would have wanted to take naps. I would have wanted to do anything but focus on the problem. But I learned if I make it through, if I solve those problems and I deal with that pain, it becomes easier and easier and easier and easier. So now
the one thing I will say is that yes, you need to get it done. And anything that makes you not get it done, you need to beat out of yourself. And I would say, for me, that includes talking about it. Like, I think we have a little safe space here where now we can all kind of have this meeting of the minds. But in general, I have found that the quickest way for me to not do something is to talk about doing the first step, and that being it. Step two, so we're working on this new card game, right? And there's a lot of theory crafting about theme and everything. And then at some point, you just got to write cards. You just got to start doing the first draft, knowing that first draft is probably going to suck.
Right.
And you're going to have to make decisions that you have argued and battled for. And now you're going to put those up for judgment based on how people use them. But I knew that you just got to write them. Like, so the first thing that I did with John and working on it was setting up every Thursday. Here are our goals. Every Thursday, we set new goals at the end of every Thursday meeting, and we show up the next Thursday with our goals completed because we owe it to each other, because this is a project that needs to move forward. Step two, I knew that I had to write these cards, and so I wound up kind of doing it in a place that I enjoyed, some place that made me happy that I was doing it. And that happened to be at this nice seafood bar down in Jack London Square in Oakland. It's nice. It's picturesque. Like, I can have a beer while I'm doing it, but I know that it has to get done. Like, so that was a little spoonful of sugar so I could get this done. Is
that one of those moments? Because I find myself doing this. There's you in the moment, and there's you who's planning out the future. Is that a moment of like giving now you a reward for getting stuff done, where it's like in my mind, and we've talked about this, like I think about my life as there's the real-time strategy game, which was me in this godlike vantage above saying, well, it's clear you have to go for this. And then there's me in the moment, this first-person shooter who's like, oh crap, I really have to do this right now. I know that I schedule treats and bribes along the way where it's like, okay, yeah, if you get this done, you can have a beer in the afternoon, but the trade-off is you got to get this done, that kind of thing.
I don't really believe in rewards necessarily. I do believe in like understanding my own productivity zone, and I don't necessarily respond tremendously toward like me punishing myself for productivity. But I do know that ultimately it just has to be done. So it's like, for me, it was dual facing. Number one, I tend to get, when I'm doing like stuff that I'm uncomfortable doing, which like writing first draft stuff tends to be very uncomfortable for me because I'm insecure and afraid. It helps when I'm out of my apartment because I can just be less comfortable when I'm out. I just know all right, if I feel uncomfortable now, the quickest way for me to get home is to finish this. So go. And then, the other side of it is being at a bar in a picturesque setting where that just, to me, was just a nice little like, hey, I'm writing a card game that'll hopefully, be a fantastic hit later in the year at this cool location. This is my life. I enjoy that. And that's cool. Like that to me is that like life affirmation kind of moment. And that makes me happy and to me makes me hopefully more productive. And it did that night. So that was my own little, tax break to build the stadium.
I don't try to, I reward myself with the project. I don't tell myself if I do this, then I can go do this other thing, because that puts me in the mindset of that I'm not enjoying it. I want to convince myself that I enjoyed the work that I'm doing. And I think that it's one of the problems with like dieting is people are like, I want to diet. And like, oh, I found this ice cream that's got half the calories. I got this other thing, and that'll be my little treat if I get it, if I exercise and do this, whatever. Well, all you're doing is you're just conditioning yourself to still use food as a reward. Even doesn't matter if it's diet or healthy for you or whatever. You're still having the same problem that you're telling your body when you do something good, feed yourself. And I think that if for me, and again, everybody's different, so I'm not going to say this is what you need to do, but for Andrew, I found that like when I was stressed out trying to finish a novel, I would teach myself to enjoy finishing an outline. I'd get excited about an outline and feel really good about, man, this outline feels really, really tight. I like this. I have this chapter breakdown with a really good opening and a really good closing. I like that. And when I get really, really stressed out and the brain is overloaded and I do have to distract myself, I would pick some other task within the overall meta task, what I was trying to do. So it might mean going into Photoshop and working on the cover, not as a tool for procrastination, which is a problem. People will spend way more time trying to figure out how to do a cover or title a book than they will writing the book. If I'm working on it, what came from like working on magic tricks is that I would go figure out the magic trick. I'd try to shoot the trick on a Saturday in my living room. Then I would tell myself, okay, I can edit Sunday. I could never wait till Sunday. I would always upload the footage on Saturday night. And I'd tell myself, well, just make a rough cut. I'd put together a rough cut Saturday night. And then Sunday, that rough cut was kind of there like an elf did it. And it was so much easier to then trim it, add music. And then when I'd get really stressed out going over my edits, I would go into Photoshop and do stuff. I'd leave my camera equipment set up downstairs. So if I had to go grab extra shots, I could go do that. And I had a process where I could turn around, a 40-minute magic DVD in a weekend. On a Monday, call my distributor and have the DVD ready, the artwork ready, everything ready, because I never walked away from the task except to go eat. Everything else was spent working on it. And when it was really stressful doing certain parts of it, I went to a less stressful part of that.
So the question is, of course, about like, have you ever been overwhelmed with a task? By which I mean, you find yourself looking at the big picture and want to walk away, and it grinds you to a halt. Like, are we really just talking about procrastination? Because I know that writing is not difficult. Writing is a joy, and you get in the flow, and it's a lot of fun. Starting is sheer misery for me. I will do anything to avoid starting, but once I start, it's great. It's great.
It was the opposite for me when I started. I love to start projects. I love to start books. I didn't have the attention span. I could never finish anything past 35,000 words. And even that was a chore. I just couldn't. Once I had the first part of the idea, 500 words, 1,000 words was fun. That was fun. 10,000, 15,000, and then realizing I'm only a quarter of the way into a project, that was when it was very overwhelming, and that was when it was stressful for me.
That's interesting.
And I had to flip that bit.
No, I mean that's where I'm at right now with this card game. Is that now I'm in the hard part where it's like we got cards, we know that they work enough that they can be the basis, but now the jokes are going to only get less funny. The questions about whether tenses and how much people are going to fill in little stuff is what we're focusing on. And now it's going to be putting a lot of this stuff out in people's hands that, now you got to face harsh truths about, what's good and what works and what doesn't. That's all that little, ego depleting element that is what ultimately makes it good. That's the polishing.
That's so interesting because, I don't know that I've thought deeply about this, so I apologize if this is a half-baked idea. But I've often thought that when it comes to creative endeavors, there are people who love the blank page because it's a blank canvas and they can put whatever they want on it. And that to me is like people who love to begin. I am not that. I want very much a lump of clay where I can look at it, or maybe a chunk of obsidian, and look at it and sort of half see like I think I see what's in there trying to get out. But it sounds like both of you guys are more fans of the blank page. Like I love finishing. I love completing. I hate starting because starting is so intimidating for me.
My problem is I start too many things. I start way too many things. And it's following through, and a lot of things I do too. And it depends upon the length of things too. It was one thing for me to want to do a magic video, which is asking me to take 3 days to go do it. You know, if I'm doing a novel, which if I can work at the pace that I'm really comfortable with will be 2 weeks, but sometimes it could be 3 months. That's the daunting part, because it's like, this is going to be my life for a considerable amount of time. And when I do a novel with a publisher, I'm going to write that book, and a year later, it's going to come back and I'm going to have to do edits and stuff. And then 18 months later, I'm going to have to go in and publicize and talk about this thing and be, excited about it. So for me, starting is easy. Finishing's hard because some of these projects are just huge, huge, huge commitments.
That's in fact, man. Now the more that I think about it, the more I'm realizing how much I deeply adore fixing other people's problems. Because like whenever I'm socially talking to someone who has a creative endeavor, I can't wait to hear about it because this is something midway. It's in process, and I can hear it with a fresh perspective and say, well, have you considered cutting this out or changing this or whatever? That's wow. I don't think I'd ever realized that about me.
So I'm going to just touch back quickly to the one piece of advice that I gave when I spoke on Saturday that was the most important one I think I could offer, and it sort of relates to this, and then I want to dive into your show, Brian. And that is, we've talked about this before, make something. And in case of James, if you're working on a project, finish something. If it's a business plan, finish the business plan. If it's a script for a movie, finish the script before you start casting and doing all these things. Finish the other parts of the process and have that done. Get in the habit of being somebody who finishes things, not starts things, but finishes things. Because I talk to people all the time now who are like, I've been working on this book for 2 years, and maybe I want to do this other thing. Like, no, finish that damn book. If you have a business idea, follow through, unless it's going to bankrupt you or it's a complete stupid waste of time. If you've never finished anything, you're a person that's never finished anything. If you finish something, it's why do venture capitalists and angel investors, why do they want to invest in people who've already started businesses, even if the businesses were a failure? Because they made something. So make something.
And even then, there are so many lessons to be learned on you ending a product or a project instead of it dying on the vine. Like there is once you've seen stuff to the end, like if you got a business plan, you can get to the point where you're looking at properties and that you want to open a store or something like that, and you understand some of the realities about the market and say, you want to know what? Maybe not now. Let me say that this isn't for me right now. There's a tremendous worth to having the ability to unplug, but you don't know even what that is until you've gotten from 0 to 1.
Because then the risk, I don't want to muddle that message though, because it's like, yes, absolutely right. There's the importance of when to walk away, but if you've walked away from every effing thing in your life, pick something you're not going to walk away from. Pick something that's not going to bankrupt you, whatever, because the number one problem I have when I see people who are creative is they walk away from stuff, and they'll find the reason not to. Like, yes, before you even think about doing that business where you've got to sign that bank loan and you've never made anything, you've never even never even made enough food to, if you're opening up a restaurant for a party or whatever, find a small scale thing, low risk, high work to do and to finish that thing. Get that done before you start doing the bigger things. I had big ambitions. I wanted to do TV. I wanted to do this stuff. I never finished a damn thing. I had everything I'd ever had came easy to me. And I had to, for me, it was making a movie. It was making, a low budget movie, like super low budget movie that wasn't going to be any good. But seeing that thing through to the end, even though I knew halfway through, I'm like, I've learned so much. If I were to do this again, it would be 10 times better. I'm like, yep. And so would the next project, the next project, the next project. Finish something.
That's why I guess that's a corollary to the, I will make better mistakes tomorrow, or fail faster, fail smarter, fail better. Like the only way to fail smarter is to actually fail. And the way that you do that is you finish a thing. And it's very, very tempting to constantly keep something in the purgatory of it's being worked on. I didn't write a bad novel. I am writing this novel. And you can keep on be writing it till the end of your days. And that's not the right way to go. Finish the damn thing. Say, I wrote a novel. Like the hardest thing in the last 15 years for me has been the transition to using the phrase, I toured with a magic show. Past tense. I toured full time for 15 years with a college magic show. To put that in the archival shelf of things I did past tense, and to explain, but now I do internet video and television, blah, 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 blah. And yes, I could still do the show, and we'll of course talk about that, but to put it in the I wrote past tense a stage show. I wrote past tense a lecture. I created past tense Scam School. That is a challenging thing to do to make that transition, and it's an important one.
But getting things done. So let's talk about this, Brian. I didn't know you were doing shows this weekend.
Yeah.
What happened? Where did this come from?
Over a year ago, we were talking. I got a call from Ethan at Proctor's Theater, performing arts venue in Schenectady, New York. He was somebody who came across Hacking the System, really dug it, dove in, discovered Scam School, discovered that I had a stage magic show, and said, hey, I would love to bring you into the performing arts theater world. And I was like, great. I normally do colleges, which is, a few college students on a student activities board make a decision, and then I show up and do the show on college's dime. And of course, it's a scary, exciting, terrifying thing to get an accurate measurement of what your brand is worth in the real world. It is the most artistically honest endeavor I can think of to basically announce to the world, I will be here at this place and this time. Who wants to show up, and how much money are you willing to give? And it was great. We did 2 shows on Saturday, a 3:30 and a 7:30. And we did what? 400? Over 300 for each?
About 300 for each is what I heard, maybe.
But and on top of that, there were some people who traveled as far as 7 hours to come out and see the show. And the most satisfying part, of course, as we often see with the Diamond Club Chat Realm crew, is that they put together their own meetup afterward, and it was this awesome, surreal experience. It was like a family reunion where there's people that you are blood relatives with that maybe you've never met face to face, and you find yourself connecting with, asking, what can I do to help you? What are you up to? What's going on? It was utterly, utterly delightful, and I'm really, really proud. And turns out I remember how to do my show, which was very exciting for me to realize.
How much prep did you do leading up to the show?
A lot. A lot of it was mental stuff, reaching back and remembering specific routines, a lot of talking through the scripts on stuff. But out of everything, the hardest thing was the logistics, because I had to pack for the show knowing that not me would be the one to bring the trunks. I had to pack everything and then just leave a note for Bryce saying, hey, pick up these 3 trunks, meet me in Schenectady, and hopefully we'll do a show. And luckily, I mean, it's not like it's a miracle, but, after 15, 20 years of doing this, there's a bit of muscle memory as far as like, I know I need this, 3 sheets of poster board, 2 red apples, this, that, the other thing. It was really neat doing them back to back, because the first performance, you could very much tell I was like, okay, let's not screw anything up. I was like, let's get through this and not miss a thing. And the second one was really so much more fun, because I had finished the first one. We knew everything was where it needed to be. We knew we had everything. It was on rails, and you could see me journeying into all these improvisational moments. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
Are we going to see more of this?
I would like to. I think it's a good show. It's kind of weird to watch your own show from the outside. with the benefit of having a little bit of a break, I will real quick. I just want to give mad props to Bryce Neshcom Castillo, who turns out knows the show as well as I do now, and was able to handle everything on the fly. It was really good.
Yeah, thanks. You're welcome.
So Friday, Mr. Marcus Eddy and I drove up to Las Vegas, and we saw David Copperfield perform, and then we hung out with our friend Chris Kenner. Got to talk to David a little bit, which was really cool, and then hung out with Chris, then drove back. And every time I go there and I go see that show, and you look at this huge auditorium, and you're thinking, like, if you look at, like, in Vegas, other magicians and other acts there, you'll see they do maybe 7 shows a week or 8 shows a week, and David does 15 shows a week, and David gets twice as much per ticket.
Yeah.
And it's insane to think about the amount of work, the amount of effort it takes. You know, he's the most famous magician in the world, but to put him butts in seats, you know, it's done. Like, David's a hugely successful show, and that's, you know, due in large part to Chris Kenner, who's, you know, a friend of ours who I think we've even had on these microphones at some point before. And that's sort of the daunting thing, because you have this, you know, if I write a book, I have a book, but now I've got to get everybody to know the book is out there to tell them about the book. You know, Brian, you're going to go to New York, go do shows, and it's like, you've got a great show. I've seen your show. Your show is fantastic. And it's, how do you get the word out? How do you put butts in seats? How do you tell people what's going on? And that would be, for me, that'd be one of the most terrifying things about what you had to go do was, you know, how do you get everybody, convince everybody, hey, come do this?
Well, and that's one of the benefits, and I'm sure Justin could speak to this, of having a commodity act. That was the hardest thing when I started going full time, is that I refused to call what I did a magic show, because if you say a magic show, then that seems like something you would book for a 9-year-old's birthday party. It's a very specific set. The phone does ring and people say, I need a magician. The phone does ring and they say, I need a hypnotist. The phone does ring and they say, I need a dance troupe. The phone does not ring and somebody says, I need somebody who has a quirky show filled with moments where somebody eats fire and then sticks nails in their eyes and blah, 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 blah. So that means if you're going to sell the show, it has to be on the value of your brand as you've built it. And, you know, it's interesting, and I suppose this last weekend was validating, but, you know, you never know. You're like, how many people are there to see Brian Brushwood, and how many people are there to see a magic show, you know? And so you don't know unless you try, right?
What was the makeup of that? Like, how many were there kids there? What was the sort of the demographic?
There were a lot of kids. What would you say, Bryce? I would say at least 50% of the people there had seen some stuff, whether it was Scam School or Hacking the System or whatever.
I feel like you had a better idea because
I met everybody afterwards. Yeah.
But there were a lot of kids. It was a 10 and up show, I think.
Yep.
So there were some kids there, yeah.
And there were some younger kids before, and It was interesting to try to prime the audience from one show to the next. Like the first show, we just went in cold, and it was clear to me, I was like, well, the people who don't know who I am have no idea what to expect. So the second show, like I kind of asked, and Ethan was a little bit cold on the idea of like, well, they're here to see you. Won't that ruin the mystery if you're out there meeting them beforehand? And I was like, well, I think I'd rather do that and have them know what to expect and be excited for it than the alternative. So the second show, like everybody who showed up early, I individually shook their hand and met them, and they're like, hey, you're here for the show. Do you know what to expect? Oh, you don't. Oh, get ready for a little blood and guts. Get ready for a lot of twisted stuff.
Yeah, it's a different. It's you know, the pro and con of like, hey, do I want to come across as this, you know, this sort of super mysterious person? But sometimes it's like, man, I want to befriend everybody before I go up there, because it's like when you're not, you know, if you're David Copperfield and they watch your TV special, then they know who they're going to go see.
Right.
But when you're, you know, not David Copperfield, you know,
AKA us.
Yeah. You know, and it's this, you're like, I need them to like me. I need them to be excited to see me there. Pardon me, et cetera. I think because I've done that before, where I'll just work it a little bit, just make some friends beforehand. So people are liking me and all that, and see that, I'm not aloof. It's that the pro con. Do you want to be mysterious, or do you want to be liked, and sometimes the two go together.
Justin, in all the time that you covered magicians in iTricks, did you have like a gut read on the difference between playing up the mysterious angle versus the personable angle?
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, I think that there are, there are some people for whom I think want to put up a large kind of front there, but in general, I was in a weird place because anytime that I would talk to people, they were always just kind of blown away that I wasn't a magician, and that it was like any kind of non-magic press, because I was always more on the lines of like, oh, I'm like the local newspaper person that's talking to you, but I'm not just going to ask the dumbest questions ever, but certainly that there is there is a weird dichotomy between magicians talking to lay people and magicians talking to other magicians, and I was I think I benefited, and the site benefited from being in that mushy middle, actually.
Yeah.
And I guess that to the question of like, does it help a magician to be more mysterious when they're in front of an audience or not, to be likable or not? I think it depends upon the magician. Penn and Teller make themselves extremely accessible. Penn and Teller, after the show, they're hanging out in the lobby, they're talking, whatever, because when you're Penn and you're a giant, you can do that. David Copperfield would used to sign, sign autographs on the edge of the stage, and that's there. And I think it does come from, if you're a populist sort of person, or if you're supposed to be like, hey, no, I just came here on a Learjet, I got to go leave, I'm super important, whatever. It depends. It's like I was talking to Marcus about this, that like I try not to, like, if I can deal directly with people, I try to do that, for stuff like if handling problem situations, things like that, because I don't want it to look like, oh, we'll talk to my assistant or the person that handles this sort of thing, because I want to make myself approachable. That's part of who my brand is. Sometimes, though, you have to. If I'm doing a corporate show, they're going to be talking to, the person who I bring on to be a producer. They're going to talk to the person who I bring on to handle logistics, because I know when I'm asking for a stupid amount of money for something, they can't be talking to me and dealing with me, because then in their mind, and it's the dumb way it works, is they just sort of like, oh, well, if he's, when we, they're more impressed by the BS sort of thing of having other people around you.
Well, and that's one of those things where it's like, let's say it's a corporate holiday party, then the person who's in charge of a corporate holiday party, let's say they have an outrageous budget of $20,000. Do you think that person who's put their name and face on the line, spending $20,000 of corporate money for this big holiday party, do you think they're going to feel better or not great about you gawking around making friends before and after the show? Is that going to look like they invested in a superstar and that you're privileged to be able to have that? Or is that going to look like they paid for a schlub who's hobnobbing with a hoi polloi before and after his show? So it's like,
and even, Brian, you just had a situation where there was like a question about licensing footage, right? Like,
yeah,
you doing it personally and making it seem like this is just your vlog is different than what you wound up doing, which was literally just, in the grand context, everything wasn't a gigantic thing for you, but you passed it off to somebody else to be like, hey, congratulations, you're now the head of licensing. Please go ahead and negotiate this deal.
Yeah.
So now even the fact that that's there for somebody that's deciding what to do with other people's money, they're going to peel off probably a little bit more than other people's money, because now we are in a business transaction where like we can either walk away or not do it. And it's not just like, hey, let's take advantage of this YouTube kid. Here's 5 cents.
That's actually a really good point. There is so much value to introducing a third party into things. And whether that third party is, your wife, your spouse, your boss, your whatever, or the third party doesn't even have to be a person. It can be your policy. Like somebody asks you to do a thing and you don't want to do it. You could say like, well, my policy is to not do this for less than dollar amount. And then he's like, but I really like your thing, and I'd love to figure. So somebody offers you $1 to do your pickpocket show. You can say, well, my policy is to never do a gig for less than $100. But I really like your event, and I'd love to make this work. How can we work together to defeat that third party? See that third party of the policy. So much trouble. All of a sudden, people will react differently when you and them appear to be on the same side trying to overcome a challenge. And that's what happened on the licensing thing is they offered the first opening bid that was ludicrously low, and so we responded, well, the standard licensing fee for this content is blank. And it was, 5-6 times as much. And he's like, but I really like your show. How can we meet in the middle? And it turns out we met more than the middle. They got most of the way there because it opened up because there was a third-party boogeyman that was neither of our fault, and we worked together to overcome them.
I love having an agent for certain negotiations, and I've had people who wanted to acquire rights and stuff like, oh, can't we just talk? I'm like, that's things just came out of your mouth are exactly why I have an agent for that situation. Not everything I do goes through an agent. Some things like, nope, this is what this is or whatever, but when I'm dealing with people who negotiate all day long on these kinds of things and have more experience than I do, the last thing I want to do is mention number. And I'll talk to be like, oh, we'll go talk about a project, whatever. Like, oh, we're talking. Can we talk about this part? I'm like, no, that's for the adult to discuss.
Yeah.
No, not for me, because that's where it gets sticky. That's absolutely where it gets sticky. But so, positive experience for you, I assume. It's interesting looking at what's on tour right now. Adam Savage is doing his Brain Candy tour with the
guy from Veritasium.
Vsauce.
Yeah. Vsauce.
And Michael Carbonara is doing his tour, which seems to be, I'm hearing, great. Did you see that show?
I did. I took my daughters to go see it. It was a delightful stand-up show, and it actually was one of those definitive moments where Michael Carbonaro's show is brilliantly well thought out, super charming, a delight to watch. However, it's also very clear that he's doing it on a stage for 3,000 people, but he could just as easily do that exact show for 50 people, and it would be delightful. And watching that and seeing so many people enjoy it so much was a big part of me thinking well, I could do my show for a lot of people as well. If he's got a fantastic white hot show and brand out there, and absent that, it's a big reason of why I wanted to do the performing arts gig, because I was curious how many folks would pony up $20 to $30 to see my silly show.
Cool. So I think there's a great big future in live entertainment. We're seeing a lot of they have Adam Savage and then the guy from the internet together doing a show, which shows you the power and the strength of that. And that, Brian, you got the gig because a guy saw you on Nat Geo, but most of the people who showed up to see you showed up because of this stuff.
Yeah, because of scam school and stuff just like this. And by the way, you could tell who was family by who kept handing me things to sign that had Harambe on it. I got Harambe'd 7 times that day.
You got Harambe'd 7 times?
No, it was a lot. It might as well have been.
Someone came up after the show after the show to me and was like, "Can I get your autograph?" And he was a Harambe.
Yeah, no,
he got me.
Yeah, no. It was
oh my god,
a lot of Harambeing going on.
Hilarious. Do we have any picks? Any recommendations?
You know what? Literally read any book on negotiation at all. That's my pick. Just go to Amazon, type in the word negotiation.
Art of the Deal, Brian's pick.
No. Oh man, look at that. Bryce wrote the same thing in. That was ghostwritten. That's not a real thing. Read a good book. As a matter of fact, here I got one. Type in negotiation at the Great Courses. Go to the Great Courses. All of them are awesome lectures. And type in negotiation. You'll be very, very happy.
Is that can thegreatcourses.com
Yes.
is a service.
Correct. As a matter of fact, one of the guys, I don't remember who said it, but he tells the story that he's about to be introduced live on stage, and they're talking up his negotiation course, and he happens to be in the back of the room, and he overhears one of the people attending saying, "Oh, you better watch out for this guy. He'll get the fillings out of your teeth." And the guy taps him on the shoulder and says, "Oh, excuse me, technically that's not negotiation. Negotiation is where I get the fillings out of your teeth and you thank me for it." Like that's negotiation.
Excellent. I'm going to just double down on your pick.
Yeah. So I found myself in a weird position. I was asked to host this corporate thing, and they asked me for my contract. And I'm like, well, that's yeah, I'll be right there with my personal appearance contract. And so I wound up getting one. I think it was like findlegalforms.com. It was like $8 for a standard personal appearance contract that made it really easy to fill in all the different things. You know, I brought it in, edited it, used a hello sign to upload it there and mark the places where it needed to be signed and send it to them. So it was really, really easy. But downloading that and then uploading it to HelloSign was the easiest way to do it. But it was easier than I thought it was going to be, and also pretty cool to have that problem.
Yeah,
and
congrats.
I'll tell you something too, that like, man, like if you ever have to do anything entertainment related or whatever, and you're going to get an attorney, make sure they actually really do that kind of stuff, because like I've come across multiple stories from people that had attorneys or whatever handle stuff for them, and you find out that they weren't, because there are attorneys who say, I specialize, I don't do this, I'll put you in touch with somebody, and then there are attorneys who are like, oh, I can do that. That's where you got to worry about it, because I can do that means they don't deal with these things on a daily basis. They think they're so smart they can see everything. I remember like the first contract I ever had, you know, I asked some friends, do you know anybody? And I got, this is in Florida, somebody said, oh, I got so-and-so can handle this for you. Then I call up a guy who was like a guy I went to college with, a friend of mine, like, oh yeah, I can handle that. And he looks at it like, no, that's pretty good, whatever. And this is his rate, whatever. And I look at it, and there are like 5 things he missed because he never really negotiated an entertainment contract. Mm-hmm. And I went out and got a much better attorney to go handle that. But that happens a lot. We get these things, we get scared because of this, and we don't even read it. You don't even look at it. And there's so much better stuff out there, like things like that, where you can. It's a great place to start from. You don't want to sometimes go out and hire an attorney to go do it because it's sometimes costs more than you're going to make. But get those. I found pretty good success with a number of those sort of ready-made sort of things. And a lot of attorneys are like, oh, don't use those. It's like, yes, in the hypothetical magical world where I have infinite amount of money to spend on this thing, right. Yes, do this. I have an attorney I use for some things, and then I have other things I'm like, I will go over this with my business partner, whatever, and decide what we're going to do. But there's a lot more resources out there.
Yeah, I think, if you're dealing with a big, long, multi-date kind of thing, or something that has a lot of profit participation based on sales and stuff like that, then yeah, you might want to look into somebody that knows what the hell they're doing. But this is it's a one-off thing that's going to happen for 4 hours, and it's like, I really don't need to go find a entertainment lawyer to in on that.
Yeah, you want something that's had some attention to it, because you do want to make sure that even in a person it's not worth it, the risk reward version of that, because you sometimes though you do want to be careful, because you're up on stage, you're emceeing, and somebody falls down in the aisle and trips and decides to sue you, and you find out oh, every entertainment contract I would have had would have said that I'm not liable for that. And that's where those little things come into play. And that's where an attorney goes, that's why you need an attorney. It's like, yeah, but I would have spent my entire fee on an attorney. That's why you guys do this. My advice is, when you really need to, make sure it's an actual attorney that specializes in what you do. Don't be afraid to ask, well, how much of this sort of stuff have you done? Who are some of your clients? What have you done? When I need to do magic contracts or entertainment contracts or anything like that, I use the same guy David Copperfield uses, because he's got some experience.
Can.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, it's been after.
Oh, indeed. Great shows, guys.
Cool.
Awesome. I'm gonna see my daughter downstairs and start prepping for cord killers because.
Can I talk to you 5 minutes offline?
Yeah, sure.
It's just boring to everybody else, so no worries.
It's about our performance during Journey Quest. Didn't do as good as you'd hoped.
You didn't go where I wanted you guys to go. Where I wanted you to go.
All right. We'll see you. We'll see you right here for Cord Killers in 2 hours.
Love you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.